Su Xing continued to not answer, and Shi Yuan proudly smiled. Su Xing, can't guess, can you? I'm afraid that if I answer, someone's going to kill me. Su Xing perspired. The whole body of the Zhang Feiyu, who currently was vigorously rubbing her chest against him, stiffened. She chuckled and left Su Xing's back. Only then did Su Xing relax. The boatman's provocation just now made his lust ignite into nearly bursting out. His whole body reacted, and only by using the heart-like mirror absolute sincerity soul technique several times did he get by. Even so, Su Xing still felt the little lowly sitting against his chest also receive an electric shock. Red clouds flew across Gong Sun Huang's face, and she blinked. Following Zhang Feiyu being recognized, all of the girls in the Huaqing pool had been defeated on Su Xing's body. Shi Yuan was happy, but she helplessly asked, Su Xing, why were you able to recognize us? You each have your own distinct characteristics. Su Xing smiled. And what characteristics do our bodies have? All of the girls were curious. Su Xing thought for a moment, then shook his head and said, maybe it's better if I don't. Say it. The more Su Xing acted this way, the more curious Shi Yuan became. Do you really want to listen? Su Xing's words appeared to be somewhat evil. All of the girls looked at each other, but in the end, they could not resist the curiosity in their hearts. Then I'll say it. Su Xing calmly said, Yingmei's legs are very slender. I can feel her out with just a touch. The others heard Su Xing's words and looked down. Through the pool's water, as expected, they saw those slender, sparkling jade legs seem to be the work of the heavens. Indeed, they were beautiful to the extreme. Lin Yingmei's face reddened, but her eyes still had a somewhat elated expression. And the other sisters? Shi Yuan pursued the question. Suwen's body is very soft, fragrant, and supple. It felt really good when she leaned on me. Lianxin doesn't like to speak and put her hand across her chest when she was behind me, so she was very easy to recognize. Nyangzi's figure is elegant, gentle, and leisurely. Yuqi's skin is snow-white and glossy, like the feeling of ice and snow. Su Xing complied, each word leaving the wives tongue-tied, their faces red and their hearts pounding. And me? Shi Yuan pointed at herself. Our Yuaner is of course the most enthusiastic. I don't even need to think to deduce. Su Xing tweaked Shi Yuan's nose, drawing the jealousy of the other girls. Elder sister Xiao, what characteristics does she have? At this time, all of the girls already no longer cared how Su Xing did it. They were very expectant of the evaluation Su Xing had for Wu Xiao. Wu Xiao slightly trembled when she saw that she had been mentioned. She saw that Su Xing's gaze was aimed at her chest. Although he was blinded by a black towel, Wu Xiao still subconsciously covered her chest with an arm. She glared at him and fake coughed, the meaning being, do not say some nonsense in front of the sisters. Su Xing chuckled and did not reply. But these girls and Su Xing had known each other for a long time, and they had very tacit understanding between them. Seeing Wu Xiao's plumpness, her towering twin peaks, the reason was very clear. Elder sister Xiao's breasts are so big, he'd know just by sticking them onto him. Young Su even pretended to not know. Zhang Yuqi feigned a sigh. Exactly, so biased. Shi Yuan and the other girls felt the same way. Wu Xiao was dizzy and merely treated it as if she did not hear this. Little sister, your man is so honest, to unexpectedly be able to remember so clearly. Should your big sister envy you? A voice of bantering ridicule. Zhang Feiyu's brows rose as if she was smiling. I'm actually very curious. I really want to know just how you were able to tell me and Shiyu apart. Don't tell me, you peeped on our naked bodies before? Zhang Feiyu doubtfully stared at Su Xing. She had a sort of urge to yank off this man's blindfold to see what interesting expression he would make upon personally seeing this scene. Shi Yuan also thought of this. Su Xing smiled. This is very simple. Since I'm not familiar with your bodies, that means that it was not, having known each other for too long, naturally it has to be you, Shiyu. However, Shiyu is a very good and caring woman. Zhang Feiyu, your wish for chaos actually was very easy to figure out. He was originally about to say, not one of his wives, But fearing he would make Shi Yu's mood change, he changed his wording to be about their time together. The corner of Zhang Feiyu's lips rose slightly. She was quite satisfied with his attentiveness, but Su Xing said she wished for chaos. This made the boatman's face redden for a moment. I, the big sister, merely want to help Shi Yu and little sister test your character a bit, so as to avoid having them like a man that thinks with his lower half. Then you made quite the sacrifice. However, Zhang Feiyu, your physique is rather provocative. The rest of this sentence has been censored. You surprisingly dare to take liberties with this big sister. The atmosphere very quickly relaxed. Su Xing's attentiveness more or less made the girls' hearts ripple. Not long after, Lin Mei suddenly said, "Young master, it seems you did not say what characteristics little E had." Right, little E doesn't like to talk either, and her figure is also great. Su Xing, how could you forget little E? Sure, Yuan fought for justice and equality. I didn't forget. Su Xing looked at the taciturn skillful star Yan Yizhen and showed a gentle smile. Having once gone through a married couple's bath with together, how could he ever forget the scene little E possessed? Until now, her hard-working nature was engraved in his mind. Those gentle moans seemed to still reverberate in his ears. That was a song she had once sang. The curtain of night fell, and all of the girls each went to the Star River Group Palace, that Su Xing and Hua Wanyue discovered to rest. The Longevity Palace's light gold array circled around the palace's surroundings, obscuring illusion and reality. Jasper Moon Bowl, a dignified woman walked through the moonlight. The Huaqing Pool's immortal qi had already faded, but the moonlight this water had brewed still made one's mind relax. Under the moonlight, the Huaqing Pool emitted a blue light, more beautiful than the sea. The moonlight illuminated the woman's face, reflecting her elegant beauty. Her picturesque red phoenix eyes were full of sharpness. Hua Wanyue looked around. She undid her skirt, and her grace that was full of a classical atmosphere sunk into the Huaqing Pool. The hero star sighed in pleasure, muttering, "It is but a pity that man's spirit does evil. Otherwise, I would have been satisfied to be together with Ing." The Huaqing Pool only had Hua Wanyue alone. The hero star stroked her white arms and jade legs in pleasure. This was leisure, however. When Hua Wanyue was bathing, she was completely oblivious that Wu Xinjie was already in a corner watching. 2. Hero star little Li Guang Hua Wanyue really is enjoying herself. If Xinjie disturbs her, that would be embarrassing. Wu Xinjie covered her mouth and snickered. "Master, what will you do?" Hua Shui jumped onto Wu Xinjie's shoulder. "Of course we help young lord. We must induct Hua Wanyue into the harem." Wu Xinjie fanned herself with her fan, full of wisdom. "How should we do it?" "Master, your orders, please." "We only need to make Hua Wanyue and young lord trust each other sincerely several more times. Xinjie is not afraid she will remain unmoved." Wu Xinjie could see that Hua Wanyue's hostility for Su Xing was fake, but her jealousy was real. However, the hero star has a very strong grandeur and self-respect. If she follows normal routine, then perhaps at the Seven Stars Assembly, the hero star will not be able to sign a contract. To make Hua Wanyue moved enough to initiate, it will be necessary to destroy her prideful mental defenses. An intimate plot circumstance is naturally tried and true. Master has clearly thought through this. Hua Shui, can you use dazzling light mind image on Hua Wanyue? If slave uses full power, slave can actually barely interfere, but this cannot be maintained for too long. Hua Wanyue answered. An illusion art like dazzling light mind image honestly was too weak against a top-notch star general. Wu Xinjie nodded. A few seconds is enough to change a person's destiny. The broken arrow beauty plays the Kong Ho. Wu Xinjie craftily smiled. And how to break this arrow? Young lord, young lord. The fragrance of an orchid blew past his ear. Su Xing slowly woke, and he saw Wu Xinjie intimately next to him. "Xinjie, it's so late, why haven't you slept?" Su Xing recovered his senses. Wu Xinjie looked at Su Xing. Those limpid beautiful eyes looked at the girl against Su Xing's chest. She was not the Lin Mei or Hun Yangzi who were already married couples in fact. Rather, it was Shi Yuan. The thief star was glued to Su Xing. From one side of her bodice, half of her full roundness was exposed as being stuck tight against Su Xing's arm. Why are young Lord and Yuaner sleeping together? Can it be that young Lord has eaten Yuaner? There's Maiden Mountains trials right now, how can I still mess around? Su Xing forced a smile. He still understood this bit of logic. Wu Xinjie smiled, disapproving. Young Lord, Xinjie has something. Wu Xinjie winked, walked backwards, and disappeared into thin air. Su Xing very carefully pushed aside Shi Yuan's arm and followed. Did you find something? Su Xing asked her. Wu Xinjie giggled. She pulled Su Xing's arm. Her gait gracefully walked out of the Weiyang Palace and then walked towards the Jasper Moon Bowl. She sweetly said, Xinjie heard that young Lord and the sisters bathed in the Huaqing pool together. Young Lord, you did not forget about Xinjie? It's so late, Su Xing rolled his eyes. Late is best. The Huaqing pool's water gathers the moonlight. The later, the more nourishing it is. Wu Xinjie winked. Su Xing always felt that she was hiding something, but seeing Wu Xinjie was in a hurry, he could not so easily brush away her kindness. Hua Wanyue was currently wiping her body. Suddenly, the gentle sound of footsteps outside the hall made her mind stiffen. At first, she wanted to bring out the heaven earth sun moon bow and fire an arrow before the people came in, but Hua Wanyue very quickly recalled this was the legendary Weiyang Palace. It had a powerful protective array, and those able to enter and leave freely could only be the people inside the Weiyang Palace. Other than Su Xing's flock, there were no others. This was probably Wu Xinjie. Hua Wanyue guessed. The knowledge star did not appear in the married couple's bath earlier in the Huaqing pool. Having returned at night, she definitely would not miss this. Thinking of this, Hua Wanyue immediately relaxed. Just as she felt that one person washing alone was cold and cheerless, an elder sister's companionship was not a bad thing. As Hua Wanyue was about to call out, at this moment, Hua Wanyue's whole body suddenly stiffened. That picturesque brow shrunk, and she nearly screamed. As expected, Wu Xinjie entered, but besides Wu Xinjie there was also man. Currently, the knowledge star and his posture were extremely intimate. Their lips and tongues were entwined, their hands wandering everywhere. Anyone watching would have their heart pound. Who else could this man be but the knowledge star's master, Su Xing? Ah! Hua Wanyue gasped. She wanted to go put back on her clothes, but at this time, her counterparts were perfectly a step faster. The Huaqing pool was plainly visible. Hua Wanyue certainly did not want her naked body to be seen and anxiously swam to a shadowy corner without even thinking. Most of her figure sunk into the water, not allowing Su Xing to see. Fortunately, Su Xing and Wu Xinjie had sweet feelings and did not notice anyone in the pool. Hua Wanyue currently hesitated on how she should respond. All of a sudden, Wu Xinjie gracefully smiled. Her clothes fell piece by piece, and finally, her bodice was cast aside, revealing her supremely wonderful figure to Su Xing. They bathed a married couple's bath like this. Hua Wanyue bit her lips. What is happening? The things that happened with this man seemed to be decreed by fate. She could not hide away. Young Lord, what are you waiting for? Do you want Xinjie to help you undress? Wu Xinjie smiled fully amorously, making Su Xing's heart ripple. Wu Xinjie tonight appeared considerably passionate. They did not bathe for too long in the Huaqing pool before they subsequently deep-kissed. His hands caressed that soft and supple skin. It was difficult for even the Huaqing pool to extinguish the lust in Su Xing's whole body. Young Lord, you are so excited tonight? Wu Xinjie savored Su Xing's beast-like encroachment, panting hard. I've held back for a very long time. Su Xing sampled the girl's ample roundness. When he had bathed at the Huaqing pool earlier, he already was full of lust. Afterwards, in order to satisfy Shi Yuan's wish, he slept together with her, avoiding falling into debauchery with great difficulty. Now, receiving Wu Xinjie's allure, he could not wait any longer. Tonight, Xinjie will do whatever young lord pleases. Wu Xinjie was also extremely passionate, but her eyes still had a bit of clarity, inwardly curling her lips into a smile. The pair wrapped around each other. Very quickly, Wu Xinjie's hands embraced Su Xing's necks, and her legs straddled his waist. They tightly combined. The feeling of cramming tight her emptiness made Su Xing and Wu Xinjie unable to help but moan. Su Xing kneaded Wu Xinjie's butt and began his scorching hot assault. Wu Xinjie's brows slightly furrowed. Waves of pleasure like a tide attacked her whole body, making her unable to help but rub her smooth and round breasts against Su Xing's wide chest. Her legs tightly clamped around Su Xing's waist, making each time her man entered into her more fierce than a beast, more violent than a storm. The girl moaned loudly, each groan making his blood vessels expand. "Wifey, you look really passionate tonight," Su Xing said in pleasure. Each night, Su Xing would dual cultivate with the beauties, but tonight, Wu Xinjie showed a particular charm. Whether it was the rubbing of Wu Xinjie's rosy cherries against his chest, each time their skin touched brought a superb joy, or the pleasure of the girl's tight passageway, they all made Su Xing feel wild. Properly conquer Xinjie tonight. Wu Xinjie's eyes revealed her charm, and she extended her tongue into a deep kiss. Under the moonlight, alluring pants reverberated. Shameless, too shameless. Hua Wanyue watched the scene before her and inwardly cursed. She originally was wondering what she was doing hiding from Su Xing, preparing to find an excuse to greet them. How could she have expected this obscene couple would copulate in the Huaqing pool without any hesitation? Hua Wanyue's eyes were sharper than a falcon's. The slightest ray of moonlight was as sufficient and bright as daylight. Su Xing and Wu Xinjie's position was laid very bare in Hua Wanyue's eyes. That shocking fierce thing entering and exiting her deep valley once again entered her eyes, like a beast's malevolence. Hua Wanyue stiflingly wanted to shoot dead this shameless man and wash her sister clean. However, Hua Wanyue in the end still placed her body even deeper into the water to hide. If she was done in by Su Xing again, she would have no purity left. Time slowly passed, and the moonlight still was clear and cold. "Hubby, ah!" Wu Xinjie's moans increasingly made her face redden and her heart pound, becoming more and more lewd. Hua Wanyue did not dare believe that the woman before her eyes surprisingly was Maiden Mountain's ranked third knowledge star resourceful star. To be so sentimental with a man, was this even a star general? Damn it. Hua Wanyue covered her ears, not wanting to listen anymore, but Wu Xinjie's moans were overwhelmingly ecstatic. Even if she covered her ears, Hua Wanyue could still hear. Hua Wanyue was not a woman without libido. Otherwise, she would not be so tempted by Linning. However, in Hua Wanyue's heart, since they were star generals, being tempted meant they could only be sisters to each other. She did not need to think about anyone else. Hua Wanyue remembered the scene of Linning Mei beneath Su Xing, pleasing him. Slowly, Hua Wanyue's gaze unfocused, and she fell into her own delusion. Just when Hua Wanyue was about to go overboard, how could she know that Hua Shui was hiding in the corner monitoring her? Its white fox eyes released a vortex of white light directly at her. The air contorted for an instant, and then it immediately disappeared. Not good, I nearly lost control of myself. Hua Wanyue's whole body quivered, violently roused by a cold wind that blew past. Her legs clamped tight, and her hand clenched into a fist as she lifted her gaze. Su Xing and Wu Xinjie were currently still climbing Mount Wu together, however, they had changed into a sort of even more shameless position. Wu Xinjie's hands grabbed the edge of the Huaqing pool as she stuck her supple butt up and allowed Su Xing to attack her from behind. This posture actually was much cleaner to Hua Wanyue's eyes. At least she did not need to see that naked lovemaking, but seeing this submission, position still made her furrow her brow. This honestly was very disgraceful. If it was me, I absolutely would kill this man. Just as Hua Wanyue was about to indulge in her fantasies, suddenly, the fiery burning in her whole body suddenly faded. Her line of sight was drawn to a water screen behind Su Xing. That water screen slowly formed into a whirlpool, slow-moving. A water dragon that was formed from water drilled out from within the water. Hua Wanyue froze. She suddenly noticed that Wu Xinjie and Su Xing currently were engrossed in their lust, completely oblivious to the dangerous change behind them. What is going on? Hua Wanyue's brows knit together. She felt the atmosphere was somewhat odd, but she did not say anything. Could it be because Su Xing's intercourse had activated an array hidden in the Huaqing pool? For something like the Weiyang Palace, an extremely precious place like the Huaqing pool having a defensive spirit beast was not odd to Hua Wanyue. Let this lewd couple taste some hardship. Hua Wanyue's eyes were delighted. This was a perfect opportunity to escape. That water dragon's body was increasingly large. It seemed to conceal the sky under the moonlight. The water dragon fixed its gaze on Su Xing and Wu Xinjie and opened its mouth. The starlight of the Huaqing pool gathered into a light ball from every direction. Hua Wanyue sensed danger. Her sneer of contempt slowly vanished. She noticed that Su Xing and Wu Xinjie seemed indifferent, completely oblivious. What is happening? The magnificent knowledge star cannot possibly not have noticed. Hua Wanyue restrained the urge in her heart, making herself maintain calm. The ball of light the water dragon was gathering was increasingly powerful. Its power was enough to make even Hua Wanyue feel astonished, and Su Xing and Wu Xinjie were still in oblivion, as if an array had been sprung in their surroundings. Could it be that they were trapped by an array? So they were unable to sense it? Hua Wanyue was uncertain. The water dragon shot into the sky and bit toward Su Xing. Just as he was about doomed to hell, Hua Wanyue at this time was unable to restrain herself from moving. Damn it, this man is doing such a vile thing in front of me, and I unexpectedly have to protect him. Let alone sullen, Hua Wanyue's heart felt that she did not know at what time she wanted to protect this womanizing man. However, they had a prior agreement. Hua Wanyue could not stand and watch something happen to Su Xing. Her self-respect would not allow it. They really are insane. Hua Wanyue shouted, rushed forward and drew her bow fast as lightning. Full moon, shooting star. A powerful arrow shook the Huaqing pool with a rumble. The bow and arrow roared out like a fierce dragon. Dark rank archery, 10,000 god-killing arrow. The 10,000 god-killing arrow directly broke the ball of light, shaking the ground. A startled man's voice and a satisfied woman's voice combined. Su Xing and Wu Xinjie simultaneously climaxed together. In spite of Su Xing's exhaustion after climax, he carried Wu Xinjie to protect her. Heavenly Abyss flew out, forming a sword shield. Purple Fiend attacked, lingering about. Wu Xinjie's face was flushed and glossy, a look of happiness and satisfaction. However, now, Wu Xinjie still did not forget her own plan. Her lips curled into a cunning grin. Young Lord Hua Wanyue seems to be helping us. Hua Wanyue. Su Xing's boiling killing intent froze. The scene he saw before him left him stupefied. The current Hua Wanyue truly was like a hunting goddess under the moonlight. The 10,000 god-killing arrow's power shook away the spring water and directly highlighted the classical curves of her body, her skin that surpassed snow, her breasts that rose towards the heavens, her snow-white slender legs and that secret place. Her flowing black hair sprinkled down, and she was perfect enough to make people stare in awe at her flawless glittering jade body. She seemed to be crafted by the heavens, full of elegance. Hua Wanyue, why are you here? Su Xing was stunned. You are still looking, are you not afraid of me shooting out your eyes? Hua Wanyue grit her teeth. Elder sister Wanyue's body is truly too beautiful, even Xinjie is captivated. Even Wang Mai is certain to be captivated. Even if you blinded him, it would be worth it. Is that not so, young lord? Wu Xinjie collapsed against Su Xing's chest and panted. Su Xing curled the corner of his lips without any easy reply. He still turned away his gaze, dressing the two of them first. What were you doing just now? Su Xing gazed in the direction that the 10,000 god-killing arrow was fired in, wrinkling his brow. You are selfish. You did not notice the array spirit beast guardian of the Huaqing pool just now? Hua Wanyue gently jumped, her jade feet lightly landing on the ground. Hua Wanyue only draped herself in an elegant silk shirt. The nice curves of her delicate body were faintly visible under the moonlight. Any random glance could spot a bit of her full roundness. This appearance simply was more enticing than complete nudity. Hearing Hua Wanyue's serious words, Su Xing put away his frivolity. There was indeed an array just now. Wu Xinjie pondered. There was. Su Xing wrinkled his brow. He had completely missed it. Hua Wanyue wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, she snorted. Her gaze looked around the Huaqing pool, also feeling this was odd. Although she sensed that her arrow had pierced the water dragon, she did not feel the sense of death. The atmosphere was somewhat not to her liking. You too would unexpectedly do such a vulgar thing in the Huaqing pool, even heaven could not stand watching. Hua Wanyue shuddered. Su Xing oddly looked at her. Were you always here? Hua Wanyue stared blankly, her face red. Look out! The hero star shouted. All of a sudden she shifted, leapt 100 meters and fired an arrow. A giant water dragon charged out. This time, Su Xing saw it. This water dragon, Su Xing's gaze concentrated, and he used the soul technique. That water dragon roared loudly and suddenly thrashed over. Hua Wanyue was caught off guard and sent flying directly towards a pillar by its surging power. Young lord, go save Wanyue. This seems to be an illusion. Wu Xinjie said in shock. The 8 gates black gold chains simultaneously activated. Su Xing nodded. He soared and caught Hua Wanyue's body against his chest. That layer of cloth completely had no effect in covering her body. Hua Wanyue's gorgeous and sculpture-like body curves were fully revealed. Release me! Hua Wanyue furiously said. This is an illusion, don't be fooled. Su Xing shouted. He grabbed her petite waist and flew down, stepped on the spring water and evaded the water dragon's attack. Just at this moment, the Huaqing pool's water transformed, splitting off 4 water dragons to encircle them. Like a galaxy suspended upside down, they covered Su Xing and Hua Wanyue. Even if this was an illusion, Su Xing knew that sustaining injury was the same as the real thing. He did not dare to be careless at all. He extended a hand and pointed. The heavenly abyss swords blocked like boulders in their surroundings, obstructing the water dragon's assault. Careful below. Hua Wanyue's expression changed. The pool water surged, and 100 water dragons ascended, bubbling over at the same time. Hua Wanyue was hugged against Su Xing's chest. Heavenly abyss was contracted to the greatest extent that did not leave any gaps. Millions of water dragons slammed over, the noise thunderous, but compared to receiving this attack, Su Xing tightly embracing her was even more intense. Hua Wanyue's heart suddenly bubbled forth with a certain kind of relief. This passionate man. The heavenly abyss sword shields jolted. More than 1,000 water arrows shot out of the water dragon's mouth, turning from the size of pythons into a rain of sharp arrows. Although it was an illusion, the pressure the attack brought was not inferior in the slightest. Su Xing felt heavenly abyss bear a heavy pressure. Terrifying power. Fully aware arrow storms might that the water dragons fired, Su Xing made the heavenly abyss defenses airtight. He struck a hand seal, and fiendish purple chi spurted forth from his fingertips, curling up in heavenly abyss surroundings and fighting the water arrows. However, his resources were not limitless at all. Along with the intensity of the water streams, the pressure that the heavenly abyss swords bore became increasingly unbearable. Heavenly abyss shook with a thunder-like boom. The flying swords launched, breaking all of the water arrows. Hua Wanyue put away her thoughts, and her eyes became sharper than a hawk's. Her figure flickered, charged out of the seawater and fired a shooting star out of the Heaven-Earth-Sun-Moon Bow's 3 starlights, making the water dragons waver unbearably, but it was no use. To the illusory water dragons, this honestly had not threat at all. The speed of the arrows Hua Wanyue fired could not be described as slow. Several dozen light arrows flew out in succession and shot through several dozen water dragons, emitting a roaring wind pressure. Su Xing also attacked in coordination. Although he knew this was an illusion, he could not allow Hua Wanyue to be reckless. The water dragon opened its mouth. It was hard to imagine that this thing formed of water would release such tyrannical strength, as if it was sucking all the air into its belly. A powerful wave immediately ended all of Su Xing's movements, and the entire Huaqing pool seemed to have already become a hell of stormy rain. The air froze solid. The water dragons bellowed, and an air-ripping noise entered their ears. Suddenly, several dozen shooting stars covered in mist broke the surface, dropping out from their bodies and smashing towards Su Xing and Hua Wanyue. The assault of the airflow scraped his whole body into searing pain. Careful! Su Xing wrinkled his brow. Purple Fiend attacked and clashed with the meteors. The two had no time to pause at all. They glanced at each other, very tacit in their understanding. They suddenly strode forward and pincer attacked from the left and right. The water dragons roared like before, their wings shaking the sky, their tides shaking the sky. Both of them suddenly leapt into the air and flew towards the water dragons. Their martial force completely unleashed. The water dragons sprayed 100 rays of water light that was like smoke and flame. Su Xing controlled the flying swords to match the purple thunder dragon slaying. Hua Wanyue stood behind him and drew her bow, turning him into the most substantive shield. The water lights that blew over were penetrated swiftly by the arrows. Crimson light and green wind immediately linked together and roared. Bang! In Wu Xinjie's astonished gaze, the pair seemed to welcome their intermingling. Instantly, countless fragments shot out. A high-pitched dragon cry resonated. The water dragon's giant body fiercely leapt. The water waves on its body abruptly rushed into the sky, spinning in the air and were already plunging down, becoming a frightening tsunami. Before the attack even arrived, the intense wind pressure already blew the pair's hair into a flutter. Flying swords entangled the water dragon, immediately connecting. It was smoother than he had imagined. However, Hua Shui's dazzling light mind image was far more formidable than they had imagined. Young Lord Su Xing and Hua Wanyue's teamwork was quite fierce. Due to Wu Xinjie having not suffered the illusion, she was not sure what was happening, but she could see that things were not simple at all. It was a pity that using such an overboard dazzling light mind image had squandered all of Hua Shui's strength. As the contractor, she herself could feel it particularly clearly, otherwise, this was a trump card to use in the star duels when someone was off guard. Thinking quickly, Wu Xinjie saw that things were almost over. Her eyes winked and she waved the fan. The water dragon finally could not persist and became illusory, fading away like faint mist. Hua Wanyue took a deep breath. The entire course of events took only several seconds, but these seconds nevertheless felt incomparably long to the hero star. Glancing at Su Xing, her heart was still unwilling about their teamwork just now. Young Lord, little sister Wanyue, are you all right? Wu Xinjie worriedly ran over. Hua Shui lay on her shoulders without any spirit, hanging its head low. Su Xing spotted Hua Shui, and his mind immediately guessed what had happened. He showed a very helpless expression. Wu Xinjie awkwardly said, Hua Shui wanted to ruin Xinjie and young lord, so she used dazzling light mind image. Xinjie will definitely scold her. The nine-tailed spirit fox sagged her head and whimpered to show her innocence. Even a star beast could not bear to watch. Su Xing, you had best behave. Hua Wanyue coldly snorted. She draped herself in her cloak and quickly left this place. Perhaps she was afraid of Su Xing asking and was avoiding embarrassment, for Hua Wanyue walked away very quickly. Did Hua Shui really want to destroy us? After Hua Wanyue left, Su Xing shook his head. Young lord can punish Xinjie any way he pleases. Wu Xinjie said, Good, your punishment is to fight 300 bouts with me. This little lady is too weak to stand against the wind and can only submit. Wu Xinjie pitifully said. Su Xing kissed her. After a while, he said, What did you gather from going to Chai Ling? Right. Wu Xinjie only now remembered. She put away her alluring posture and made a serious reply. Xinjie has heard information noble star Chai Ling obtained. Soon, the Crystal Dragon Palace Treasure Banquet will display the Purple Star Astral Treasure 77. 77? Yes, an item that will raise a carnage amongst all star masters. Wu Xinjie explained it. After hearing her speak, Su Xing's brow twisted. Forcefully rescind the contracts of star generals? It's surprising there's even something like this. Can it be a trap to blackmail us? Su Xing's thinking was the same as Wu Xinjie's initial thoughts. To forcefully annul a contract and participate in the star duels. From any perspective, the timing was too perfect. He had never heard of such an item that defied the natural order before. If this was the 10 great sects, it was not impossible they would be dead set on exploiting the double seven. Young Lord and Wu Xinjie think the same. If it is the Stardews, a magic weapon like this is not too likely to appear according to common sense. Wu Xinjie pondered. But we cannot completely ignore this. As expected, we can't stop now. Su Xing smiled. Wu Xinjie nodded and agreed. However, Chai Ling said we did not need to worry. About the double seven, she has plans on the together to hell she has with young Lord. Isn't she unable to participate in the star duels? Su Xing was somewhat worried. The treasure banquet should not count as a part of the star duels. Su Xing pondered. It was not too realistic to ignore this double seven magic weapon, but it was extremely likely that the 10 great sects had set another baited trap. Regarding things like the flippant and insincere alliance of 10, even Su Xing felt this was quite annoying. However, ever since his first battle with the 10 great sects, it was no wonder when the other side kept losing power, particularly the most high path known as the number 1 great sect, which inevitably would not rest. Is Alliance of 10 Martial Assembly about to begin picking a new General Assembly of the 10 great sects? Not long after the treasure banquet. I should settle things with those annoying great sects at this point. Young Lord and Xinjie think alike. Wu Xinjie laughed. How was investigating the previous overlords? Su Xing asked. There is a bit of a general outline pertaining to the second star duels. At the time of the 7-star assembly, they were split into Leisure Star, Dragon in the Clouds Gong Sun Sheng, Prestige Star, Double Clubs Huyenjue, Solitary Star, Flowery Monk Lu Jishan, Guardian Star, Gold Lancer Su Ning, Deviant Star, Red-Haired Devil Lu Tang, the Heavenly Star Xie Twins, and Brave Star, Sikyuchi Sun Li, 8-star generals total. As expected, the Heavenly Stars held an overwhelming advantage. Only the Earthly Star, who was the chief of the 4 great Heavenly Kings, Sikyuchi Li Sun, could represent the Earthly Stars. Back on topic, Su Xing noticed that had not yet seen this boss of the 4 Heavenly Kings in these star duels. He wondered what sort of character she was. After the second star duels began, Liang Shan began to pay attention, but there is no definitive information. The strength of the 7-star assembly then was still relatively average. There was no absolute advantage, and Xinjie does not know who became overlord in the end. However, Xinjie surmises that Dragon in the Clouds Gong Sun Sheng was the most likely. Wu Xinjie said, the first generations was the strongest in martial force. Now the second generations was the strongest in magic energy? Su Xing was pensive. Not just in name but also in reality. If things truly are like this, then this will be thorny. Wu Xinjie bitterly smiled. The star general strongest in magic energy was unlike martial force. In particular, to the magic energy star general who was able to become the overlord, their advantage in numbers was completely lost. It is best that it was Deviant Star Lu Tang. This way, defeated her will not become a problem. Wu Xinjie chuckled. It was best to pick the lowest hanging fruit. Even the Knowledge Star understood this logic. Don't get your hopes up. What ought to come will always come. Su Xing narrowed his eyes. Liked it? Crystal Dragon Palace, Wind Wave Hall. A cup of rich and serene tea scent wafted with a faint mist. An ordinary man sat on top of a coral jasper chair tasting this crystalline dragon palace's famed, rich, serene mist. The man appeared very nondescript, to the point of being completely unremarkable. Even the brightest person would be unable to describe the features of his face. The word, ordinary, vividly and thoroughly portrayed his face. However, even this ordinary man's body had an introverted yet powerful presence, strong enough that even the wind feared to get close. The man had very slender fingers. He brushed the lid of his teapot. A pair of dull eyes now showed wisdom that was only possible with countless years of experience. Not long after, the gates of the Wind Wave Hall opened. A beautiful woman dressed completely in a water blue flower gown and streaming silk ribbons delicately walked in. Compared to the mediocre appearance of the man, the difference was day and night. The beautiful woman had a cloud bun and flower rings, tender and beautiful. Her brow was full of a frightening majesty, as if she was terrifying to the heart. Seeing the beautiful woman, the man rose. A good-natured smile appeared on his face, and he cupped his fist. Little sister Wanxin, truly many thanks for this. The beautiful woman was one of the current masters of the Crystal Dragon Palace, Long Wanxin. Long Wanxin did not at all slight the apparently benevolent smile of the man in front of her. The position of the man before her was not beneath hers. Across all of Liangshan continent he was first or second. The Most High Path's strongest ancestral master. Northern Darkness has fish. 2. Fellow has fish, there is no need for pleasantries. This palace has helped your sect this time. The Crystal Dragon Palace's 1,000 years of reputation is hanging by a thread. Long Wanzhen's mood was not very good at all. Her words could not help but be slightly unhappy. Northern Darkness has fish faintly smiled and nodded. Has fish engraves this to memory. For this matter, the Most High Path owes little sister Wanxin a favor. Do not speak of this for now. Regarding the 77, do you truly feel that it can make that purple thunder monster show himself? Long Wanxin asked. The reliability of the information about the 77 that Chai Ling mentioned to Wu Xinjie was completely on the mark. The reason was very simple. The Crystal Dragon Palace's treasure banquet had several thousand years of history in Liangshan continent. Its reputation had always been very good. If it was a treasure the Crystal Dragon Palace recognized, then it was great. However, Chai Ling's thinking was nevertheless slightly off this time. As it turned out, Northern Darkness has fish and Long Wanxin had always had a pretty good friendship. Northern Darkness has fish wanted to get rid of the purple thunder monster, so he sought out Long Wanxin to set down the 77. However, Long Wanxin was an intelligent person. She played with a tiny scheme. The information pertaining to the 77 was not transmitted by the Crystal Dragon Palace at all. Rather, they found someone to deliberately disseminate this information. By doing so, if something happened at that time, the Crystal Dragon Palace had plausible deniability if things turned unfavorable. Otherwise, Long Wanxin would not dare do this. He has no room to choose. Northern Darkness has fish gently blew on his tea, wearing a smile that Long Wanxin both admired and loathed. Every time Northern Darkness has fish was this calm, Long Wanxin knew based on how well she knew him, someone was about to become his prey. Is that so? Long Wanxin wrinkled her brow. The 77 is used to forcefully rescind a contract and steal away a star general. The legendary Lin Chong or Wu Song have never had so intimate a relationship in 1,000 years as they do now with the purple thunder monster. Since we already let a rumor into the wind, he has no choice but to choose, regardless of whether it is real or not. Northern Darkness has fish said. Perhaps. Fellow has fish must have thought of how to face the purple thunder monster. His multiple star generals have now drawn a storm in the Azure Dragon territory. Listen to Wanxin's words. Fellow has fish, why not wait until the 7 stars assembly? At that time, the other star masters will unite, and the purple thunder monster will be hard-pressed to survive. Long Wanxin advised. 4 top-notch star generals like Lin Chong and Wu Song, even if they had 100 years' worth of cultivation, their supervoid late stage could not taste success. Against these star generals, it was most suitable to fight star with star. Northern Darkness has fish set down his coral cup. Slight sharpness flashed in his eyes. The Most High Path would be an absolute joke if we cannot personally kill him. Long Wanxin shook her head. She still felt this was too sloppy. She had already heard of the affair at the Bright Moon Longevity Palace. An encirclement that gathered practically all of the 10 great sects' first-rate elders had fallen into an ending where they were completely routed, and the purple thunder monster even obtained the Longevity Palace. He absolutely was number 1 in Liangshan continent. To become enemies with such a person, Long Wanxin was not optimistic about the Most High Path. However, Long Wanxin nevertheless understood Northern Darkness has fish's sorrow. The names of the 4 original disciples under Immortal Clear Void's tutelage each took their name from the compass directions to demonstrate the widespread influence of the Most High Path. Now, Envious of the East, Nangong Xing, 3, and Shimin Jinlian had all met with tragic ends. Northern Darkness has fish was the last. This was one of the reasons he had left his seclusion to reach transforming star of annihilation. Long Wanxin suddenly remembered and asked, "Fellow has fish, inform Senior Clear Void of these matters. If Senior Clear Void takes action, you definitely can take down the Purple Thunder Monster." Immortal Clear Void was already Super Void peak 100 years ago. After 100 years of secluded cultivation, even the 4 disciples he had instructed had already reached Super Void. Thus, he had always been recognized as already having entered the legendary Transforming Star of Annihilation. If a Transforming Star of Annihilation cultivator took action, they would not need to fear even the Lin Chong who had comprehended her Earth rank. Northern Darkness has fish sighed. Master has long since ascended to Star World. The matters of Liangshan continent already can no longer be pleaded. As expected, he had broken through to Transforming Star of Annihilation. Long Wanxin's heart was envious. Her Crystal Dragon clan had also produced several generations of seniors that were acclaimed as Transforming Star of Annihilation level, but as far as she knew, these so-called Transforming Star of Annihilation seniors completely were genuinely annihilated. Long Wanxin was Super Void late stage. She was always searching for a way to the legendary Transforming Star of Annihilation, but other than a few adepts that turned up in Liangshan continent's unofficial records, the other sects did not have any records at all. Sometimes, she doubted whether or not Transforming Star of Annihilation was in fact death. These words, Long Wanxin could not easily ask aloud. "Fellow has fish," Wanxin wonders what you paid a visit for? If it is for treasure banquet matters regarding the Purple Thunder Monster, Wanxin fears she is unable to help. Long Wanxin thought that Northern Darkness has fish came this time to prepare to face the Purple Thunder Monster at the treasure banquet, so she made her position clear. The treasure banquet was Liangshan's supreme feast. Long Wanxin absolutely could not let him turn it into a feast at Hongmen. 6. Northern Darkness has fish smiled. Little sister Wanxin, be at ease. Has fish wants to borrow little sister's connecting heaven-ocean settling pearls. 7. What? Long Wanxin was startled. Little sister Wanxin also knows that the Purple Thunder Monster has so many star generals. Even if we lay a trap, based on their current strength, has fish cannot do anything against him. The sole method to face him is to isolate his star generals. As long as he loses his right and left-hand star generals, like Wu Song and Lin Chong, has fish absolutely has a chance to take the Purple Thunder Monster's head. This. Long Wanxin hesitated. The connecting heaven-ocean settling pearls were the Crystal Dragon Palace's protective treasure. They guarded the Crystal Dragon Palace in all directions, dispelling the sea and reaching the sky. Only this allowed the Crystal Dragon Palace to become the legendary palace in the sea. 8. Little sister Wanxin, are you unwilling to help with this? Northern Darkness has fish showed a hurt expression. In order to star duel, the Most High Path has already put forth all its strength. Has fish, this palace honestly does not wish to be involved in your matters with the Purple Thunder Monster. Long Wanxin was in an awkward position. Has fish merely is borrowing the connecting heaven-ocean settling pearls. It is not unrelated to the Crystal Dragon Palace. In the future Alliance of 10 conference, the Most High Path is setting up mutual aid. After things are done, if As Fish has the fortune to snatch the Longevity Palace, As Fish absolutely will not forget little sister Wanxin's favor. Northern Darkness has Fish cupped his fist, each word spoken with iron power. Long Wanxin's indifference was fake. The Bright Moon Longevity Palace cultivated the longevity secret technique. Any supervoid cultivator would be moved. If the reason that Northern Darkness has fish was so impatient to kill the Purple Thunder Monster was not for this, Long Wanxin would not believe him. But ever since the battle at the Longevity Palace, the people all knew that the Purple Thunder Monster's strength truly was deep and immeasurable. Even that woman of the true Immortal Palace addressed as Immortal Outside Heaven, 9, showed rare silence after Xianzhenzi perished in the battle at the Longevity Palace. If one was resented by the Purple Thunder Monster, who would dare fight him after the 3 heavenly books? The grand number one great sect of the Azure Dragon territory, the Most High Path, had been filled with traumatic lessons by the Purple Thunder Monster. Everyone observed what had happened. Northern Darkness has Fish dully drank the mist tea, calm and composed, not worried at all. Has Fish this time is still preparing a pretext to visit fellows at the other sects, to have them join in an operation to confront the Purple Thunder Monster. If Has Fish receives Little Sister Wanshin's support, Has Fish believes the Purple Thunder Monster will be unable to escape this time. For a monster like this who has destroyed the Star Duels, even if we eradicated him, Maiden Mountain will not say anything. Also, Has Fish hears the Purple Thunder Monster once obtained the devil-suppressing steel and the ghost's Godsbane that Emperor Liang had set. Has Fish is also preparing to discuss using that along the river during Qingming. King Long Wanshin muttered to herself for a while. With things as they stood, she was already unable to refuse. Everyone knew that Emperor Liang had always wanted the imperial family to lead the 10 great sects. If Northern Darkness Has Fish truly collaborated with Emperor Liang, the Most High Path would attach itself to him, and the Crystal Dragon Palace that had wealth equivalent to a nation's would be the first out of luck. Ai, Envious, Xing, and Jin Lian also got along well with Wanshin. Since fellow Has Fish is avenging them for this request, if Wanshin declines, then her heart is truly frozen. The Long clan's elders would also scold Wanshin for being heartless. However, 24 connecting heaven-ocean settling pearls have always been used to protect the Dragon Palace. If you take all of them, then perhaps the Crystal Dragon Palace will meet with the calamity of drowning. Wanshin asks Has Fish to understand. Wanshin can only lend 12 connecting heaven-ocean settling pearls. Long Wanshin warmly replied. Northern Darkness Has Fish smiled and cupped his fist. Has Fish thanks you. If it was not for the Heaven-Earth Dark Yellow swords being stolen by the Purple Thunder Monster, 11, but we have no other choice. Has Fish did not want to beg Little Sister Wanshin. The Heaven-Earth Dark Yellow 4 swords have been seized by the Purple Thunder Monster? 12. Long Wanshin was astonished. This was a first-class accident. The Heaven-Earth Dark Yellow 4 swords were considered the Most High Path's treasures. The 4 swords gathered to form a sword array, and Long Wanshin's heart was somewhat afraid. Other than the Heaven Sword in my headmaster's hands. Then you must be extremely careful. If the Purple Thunder Monster truly takes it, fellow Has Fish is in danger. Many thanks for the concern. As expected, this deep serene mist tea is fully deserving of its reputation. After Has Fish kills the Purple Thunder Monster, Has Fish definitely raise his head for another cup. Wanshin will wait at any time. Long Wanshin faintly smiled. Northern Darkness Has Fish nodded. The two chatted for a while, discussing past events and sighing. Long Wanshin took the chance to inquire about Immortal Clear Void's transforming star of annihilation, and indeed, his physical body was destroyed, scattered. If he had ascended to Star World, it was fair. Not long after, Northern Darkness Has Fish departed. Long Wanshin contemplated alone. Your Highness Mother. Gentle footsteps interrupted her thoughts. Long Wanshin lifted her gaze to see her own daughter return a cold stare. Long knew. Wisdom Star Daredevil third brother Shi Xiuxiu stook small quick steps, the corner of her lips hanging a smile full of ruthlessness. She looked provocatively at the demon beast in front of her. That was a demon beast whose whole body seemed draped in armor. Its giant body was more than 2 meters tall, and its skin was harder than steel. It possessed super fast speed and explosive strength. This demon beast was known as Leading Rhinoceros, 2, classified as 7th or 8th rank. In the White Tiger territory, it was relatively formidable. Daredevil third brother appeared quite excited, and the goose feather heavenly wolf beside her howled, saying something. You Luo, 3, just leave this to your servant. This is a perfect grindstone for sharpening my blade. Shi Xiuxiu licked her lips. The leading rhino's armor-like skin was very famous as an extremely high-quality whetstone. Despite that a star weapon would never dull its edge, using it as a grindstone could make them even more polished. The leading rhino smelled danger. It raised its head and spotted Shi Xiuxiu. It attempted to use a bluff to scare away this girl too weak to stand against the wind. But in the eyes of Daredevil third brother, this only became a battle stimulant. The girl shouted, and a 7 colors goose feather saber appeared out of thin air. Gripping it in her hand, she slashed at the leading rhino. The saber's tip spurted powerful saber chi. The saber chi cut along the leading rhino's body, spraying sparks. The 7 colors goose feather saber rang, but her powerful strength merely made the leading rhino take a few steps back. This thoroughly infuriated the demon beast. The leading rhino's enormous body slightly crouched, carrying a powerful pressure. It stared fixedly at Daredevil third brother Shi Xiuxiu. It let out an ear-piercing shriek and barreled towards her, launching an attack. Shi Xiuxiu chuckled. She leapt, and her body was like an illusion as she slashed wildly on the leading rhino's body. Saber light emerged in multitude. The leading rhino could only yelp. But the leading rhino's defensive level made Shi Xiuxiu a bit surprised. Like its ancient name, the most annoying thing about the leading rhino was its impenetrable skin. Reportedly, it was on par with Black Turtle Divine Iron. Shi Xiuxiu's hand was numb. Only then did she notice that the colossal monster in front of her was still intimidating. Snorting, Shi Xiuxiu evaded the lime the leading rhino sprayed out. She circled around behind it, slashing horizontally. The saber chi was storm-like. Her robust strength rocked it, nearly toppling the leading rhino over. The forest seemed calm for an instant. The leading rhino ceased its breathing. Its impervious skin already showed minute wounds, and its eyes were full of fear. Who said that demon beasts did not know fear? Shi Xiuxiu certainly would laugh at them, but this was not enough. The bulk of the leading rhino's body suddenly expanded. Its skin armor seemed to materialize odd markings. This leading rhino's famous ability was Skin Armor Morph. It bellowed at charged. The 7 colors goose feather saber shuddered. Shi Xiuxiu was astonished to find her own star weapon apparently about to break. Such a powerful defense. This bastard truly was even more steely than steel. The leading rhino took advantage of the moment Shi Xiuxiu's attack stagnated to countercharge. Its powerful might pinned Shi Xiuxiu's attack into sliding back several hundred meters. The leading rhino's attack already was unable to pose any threat to Shi Xiuxiu, but that powerful defense still made Shi Xiuxiu remain at wit's end. However, if she could comprehend her Earth-rank technique, that would be fine. Shi Xiuxiu quickly brainstormed. Her footsteps spun, and her body techniques were as spry and lively as a butterfly, gracefully vanishing. There was a mournfully sharp howl. The entire forest's air temperature plummeted. Ice-cold breath suddenly enveloped the entire space. Sparkling and translucent ice crystals appeared in the air, quickly extending in all directions and also emitting a frightening chill. The leading rhino spat out a ray of frozen ice. Shi Xiuxiu appeared from empty space, slashing with her saber, directly breaking open this ice breath. Then, she continuously used the Daredevil third brother's frightening swordplay against the leading rhino. Although the leading rhino was ferocious, it could not withstand Shi Xiuxiu's suicidal assault. Perhaps the demon beast was wondering how it had the bad luck to encounter someone so reckless. If it was before, it could just rely on its powerful armor skin to stalemate the battle. Time passed. The leading rhino's armor skin was unable to continue and faded. The demon beast prepared to flee. Shi Xiuxiu nevertheless maintained a strange calm through her frenzied saber technique. She spun, grazed by, and saber light flashed. A yellow rank saber technique Heavenly Wolf Moon Howl broke into the weak spot on the leading rhino's neck. Blood drew a ring around its neck and sprayed. This terrifying demon beast rushed straight 100 meters, bellowing several times before it finally collapsed. The Wisdom Star slowly let out a long exhale. Just at this moment, a figure flew out. The Goose Feather Heavenly Wolf pounced after it, yet she heard the Goose Feather Heavenly Wolf yelp. It had been flung down by a sword. Shi Xiuxiu was stunned. She promptly rushed to the Goose Feather Heavenly Wolf's side and waved her saber. With a bang, she repelled the interloper. Amazing, a 2-star destined weapon's yellow rank dispatched the leading rhino. Truly incredible. Perhaps those top-notch martial four-star generals would not be able to achieve such a thing. A refined and elegant voice slowly laughed. A man with long red hair appeared before Shi Xiuxiu. Then white light flashed. A young girl whose sword nearly killed the goose-feather heavenly wolf landed daintily beside the man. The girl's figure was petite and adorable. She had white embroidered armor and short skirt, shoulder pads, a breastplate, and a pair of super adorable eyes more brilliant than jewels. She had long, flowing hair. Her forehead was tied with a protector crammed full of gorgeous talisman script. The young girl at first glance looked like an adorable lamb, but the giant sword she held in her hand was full of murderous intent that was completely incongruous with the girl's petite and delicate body. Silver Snow Dragon Abyss Sword. 5. So it turns out to be Earthly Star 4 Heavenly Kings, 41st ranked little sister Magnificent Star Wood Dog of Well Hao Siwen. 6. Shi Xiuxiu recognized the master of the sword and smiled. My true name is Bingxin. Daredevil third brother. Remember my name because you will be a defeated general under my hand. Magnificent Star Wood Dog of Well Hao Bingxin cutely said. Clever brat. Shi Xiuxiu was not offended at her tone. She was impressed that the magnificent star could utter these grand words. Daredevil third brother, to find you honestly was not easy. That elegant man naturally was Hao Bingxin's master, Yi Futu. He warmly said, you actually impress your servant, to dare come to the White Tiger alone to cultivate. On the basis of just this, your servant very much wishes to become your friend. Your servant is Yi Futu. Shi Xiuxiu laughed aloud. I do not care if you are a stupa or a butcher. 7. Do not waste your breath on kind words. Your humble servant does not like it. Seeing as how you do not have a sinister appearance yet also seem to have specifically sought out your humble servant, could the White Tiger 7 Spirit Stars newly inducted fire be you? Have those monsters prepared a roundabout way to make your humble servant sign a contract? Though grand in appearance, her thoughts were very meticulous. This generation's daredevil third brother was somewhat problematic, Yi Futu's heart assessed. Shi Xiuxiu had guessed correctly. After Yi Futu was recognized as the White Tiger 7 Spirit Star, everyone gave him an assignment. They made him go capture the daredevil third brother, preparing to use Han Bing's twin star button to contract 2 stars. Roundabout? Daredevil third brother, you are a powerful and free character. Futu is very impressed by you indeed. Your servant has also trained in the White Tiger territory for a long time. How about this? Your servant shall have Bingxin fight a bout with you. If you lose, you will sign your servant's second contract? Yi Futu first stabilized Shi Xiuxiu as according to plan. Your humble servant has not interest in a contract. Shi Xiuxiu showed a provocative tooth. How? Daredevil third brother, are you prepared to flee for your life this time? Yi Futu indirectly steered her psychology. Bring out your true abilities. Shi Xiuxiu coldly shouted. Without another word, she leapt and slashed. Magnificent Star Hao Bingxin's Silver Snow Dragon Abyss blocked. A 4-star destined weapon held an advantage over a 2-star, but Shi Xiuxiu had cultivated to the extreme realm training in the White Tiger territory. Her swordplay was exceptional. Hao Bingxin turned the sword into a natural shield, blocking the dazzling saber chi. The goose feather heavenly wolf charged along. Yi Futu pointed, and a dark red flying sword spun and battled with the goose feather heavenly wolf. He still surreptitiously sized Shi Xiuxiu up, taking this chance to look for an opening. After several bouts, Hao Bingxin was not match for Shi Xiuxiu. She was suppressed into a somewhat sorry state by Daredevil third brother's stronger realm and swordplay. The girl flashed aside, withdrawing several dozen meters. Shi Xiuxiu curled the corner of her lips and laughed. Little sister, conceding defeat certainly disgraces the earthly star 4 heavenly kings. Shi Xiu, don't look down on me. Bingxin will now be earnest. Hao Bingxin cutely scratched her nose. Suddenly, the star crest on her forehead flashed. A beautiful as jade and cute tiny velvet beast appeared on Hao Bingxin's head. That velvet little beast was extremely shy. Its pair of sparkling eyes were large and fully glued on Shi Xiuxiu. My anger is snowballing. The consequences are very severe. Hao Bingxin snorted. This velvet little beast was known as Codfish Jail. 8. A support-type star beast like the yin-yang carps. It could greatly promote realm and martial force. Hao Bingxin sneered. This Codfish Jail flashed with white light and attached to her graceful headband. Suddenly, Hao Bingxin's whole body fell into a sort of gentle white light. The girl's big eyes became whiter than snow, beautifully dazzling. Magnificent star Hao Bingxin launched an attack. Her speed and awareness were clearly much faster. Her entire body's movements were very nimble, swift and flowing as water and clouds. Silver Snow Dragon Abyss enormous blade ruthlessly hacked down. This is very good. Shi Xiuxiu leaned forward and rushed. Her body suddenly accelerated again, and her left leg rose high to fiercely hack downwards. Instantly, firmly pressed down the large sword magnificent star Hao Bingxin slashed with. Then she slashed with the saber in her other hand. A white light flew out to directly block the saber's edge. Astral treasure? Shi Xiuxiu was startled. Stupid elder sister. Hao Bingxin used full power. She took advantage of the recoil to suddenly pick herself up. Instantly, she soared above Shi Xiuxiu. The wisdom star was astonished and immediately brandished the 7 colors goose feather saber to launch a counterattack, but Hao Bingxin was too quick. Although Shi Xiuxiu was able to bear it, she basically could not see her trajectory clearly. She counterattacked directly with the martial general's capabilities. But the magnificent star was a 4 heavenly king. Her own martial general capabilities were not inferior. Hao Bingxin gracefully rolled her body, sticking straight up inverted in midair. Then, both her hands gripped the sword, instantly already slashing a consecutive 100 times. A large expanse of snow-colored swordlight soundlessly attacked Shi Xiuxiu from above. Despite vigilance that Shi Xiuxiu already had for Hao Bingxin in her heart, she was still just a bit too slow. A wound was cut open on her shoulder. Shi Xiuxiu grit her teeth and endured with willpower. She clearly sensed the powerful wind pressure above her and could not raise her head. The 7 colors goose feather saber already launched from her hand, forming a saber net that completely protected her person. Even Hao Bingxin was unable to attack Shi Xiuxiu from anywhere. The saber net carried a chilly malice. Yellow rank saber technique. Heavenly Wolf Moon Howl. 9. The 7 colors goose feather saber cut a fierce wolf-like saber chi that directly tore over. Hiss! There was a continuous sound as Hao Bingxin's sword light was torn apart. The girl's body was directly slammed by the pouncing saber chi. Her astral treasure only barely stopped it. She had no time to be happy, for Shi Xiuxiu nevertheless punched her. Hao Bingxin's silk headband fluttered, and the girl's awareness instantly advanced higher. The silver snow dragon abyss stabbed at the same time, using her yellow rank technique. Absolute Psi Ice Dust. Sword wind formed a giant sword of penetrative power that seemed to split heaven and earth. In a split second, the silver snow dragon abyss was just like a coiling silver dragon. An enormous shaking made Shi Xiuxiu's wrist go numb, and her body intensely shuddered. Such powerful strength. Shi Xiuxiu's heart was grave. The heavenly wolf moon howl was completely powerless and unexpectedly devoured by Hao Bingxin's absolute Psi Ice Dust. It directly pounced, and Shi Xiuxiu could hardly imagine what the feeling this attack would have if it hit her. She immediately evaded. How is it? Hao Bingxin raised the corner of her lips, full of complacency. You are satisfied with just this? Shi Xiuxiu smiled. Her silhouette vanished. Magnificent star Hao Bingxin sensed that Shi Xiuxiu was in the space above her. She suddenly turned her head, and a vastly ice-cold air spouted from the giant sword tip. Instantly, her body was covered in 5 or 6 meters. Within its range was ice cold, and the temperature suddenly plummeted to the limit. This was the Codfish Jail's ability. Shi Xiuxiu could distinctly hear the sound of the surrounding air freezing, but if Hao Bingxin thought this could stop her, she was gravely wrong. Daredevil third brother flashed away, scuttling into the ice-cold air. Without waiting for Hao Bingxin to come to her senses from her complacency, a crisp gurgle entered her ears. In Hao Bingxin's shocked gaze, Shi Xiuxiu's saber technique was like an intense explosion. Instantly, countless saber chi shot over. Hao Bingxin braced the silver snow dragon abyss to let out a brilliant clanging sound. Then she followed with a slash, cutting with a powerful force to repel Shi Xiu. Shi Xiuxiu patted the dust off herself as if nothing happened. She looked pretty good. Hao Bingxin actually drew in a breath. Did it not stop her at all? Magnificent star Hao Bingxin could not accept this fact that her attack was inconsequential. Her giant sword tip suddenly flicked, charging fiercely into the sky. In midair, she spun, already plunging down. Before her attack arrived, an intense wind pressure blew Shi Xiuxiu's short hair into a mess. The sand and stone on the ground were scattered. 1,000-year-old trees were uprooted, and a swift and severe shriek shook the surroundings. This was Hao Bingxin's dark technique. White dragon leaving sword tip. 11. Shi Xiuxiu was briefly surprised. The power her terrible sword tip raised was just like an enormous white dragon covering the sky and earth. The surrounding 1,000 meters were shattered by the sword's tip. However, this was but a brief moment. Nevertheless, Shi Xiuxiu was too late to react. By the time the noise was over, Shi Xiuxiu's surroundings were already a complete mess. Not one single thing was intact, and Shi Xiuxiu's body showed thousands of tiny cuts which hurt terribly. Before Hao Bingxin could be happy, Shi Xiuxiu shouted. Her movements were far from as fast as she could imagine. Shi Xiuxiu's body suddenly vanished from where she was. When she reappeared, she was already behind her. She was obviously in midair, and Hao Bingxin's coordination with her star beast should have been superior. However, she did not know the reason, but Hao Bingxin nevertheless clearly felt this place was Shi Xiuxiu's home advantage. This elder sister is not easy to face. Hao Bingxin's heart was somewhat timid. Her body suddenly stopped in midair. Shi Xiuxiu grabbed magnificent star Hao Bingxin by the hair with one hand. With a pull and fling, her entire person already flew backwards. The pitiful girl brandished her sword to attack, turning pale and powerless under Shi Xiuxiu's speed. She could only fly up and down according to Shi Xiuxiu's will. Her body suddenly spun in midair. After yielding away to Yi Futa's flying swords, Shi Xiuxiu evidently had no interest at all in facing a star master. Her right fist fiercely waved, and an enormous suction was transmitted. She completely did not give Hao Bingxin the chance to respond. With her body in the air, Shi Xiuxiu's legs flipped like lightning, instantly kicking several times in succession. The huge howling wind was fully in the air, and a crisp impact resounded. Hao Bingxin was forcibly raised by Shi Xiuxiu's bullying attack power. One final dark technique. Wolf howls 10,000 li. 12. All her movements instantly froze. Hao Bingxin was surprisingly propped up. Bingxin. Yi Futa was worried. His flying swords knocked aside the goose feather heavenly wolf, and a 7 feathers fan appeared in his hand. Just as Shi Xiu was about to speak, the goose feather heavenly wolf roared at this time. The girl sharply sensed danger. Go! Just at this moment, a bolt of lightning smashed into Shi Xiuxiu from the sky. The girl only felt her whole body shatter into pain. Suddenly, she lost consciousness, yet the goose feather heavenly wolf forcibly flapped its wings, held Shi Xiuxiu in its jaws, and immediately became a ray of white light that disappeared into the horizon. Damn it, we let her escape again. 7 figures appeared. They were the White Tiger's 7 spirit stars. Shi Xiu has just received this old man's heaven-attracting burning thunder. She is injured and cannot go far. Immediately pursue. We must find her. Grandfather Li's words were strict, unfolding his paper fan. Song Feng and the others promptly used their escape techniques, but the goose feather heavenly wolf's speed honestly was too fast. If it was fleeing, it would be very difficult to follow. Indeed, a little while later, they already lost all traces of Shi Xiu. Yi Futa's face wore a smile as looked at everything in front of him, somewhat aloof. Bingxin, are you all right? Magnificent star wood dog of well Hao Bingxin took a deep breath. The silver snow sword stuck into the ground, and the girl puffed her cheeks. She was somewhat unhappy. If it was not for this old monster's attack, she definitely could fight Daredevil third brother to her delight. While she may not have been able to defeat her, it was better than holding things in. The Earth rank technique that she had comprehended with great effort was not even used yet. Taisui, it seems capturing Shirshio is not so simple, Yifuta said. Against a martial general that possessed a beast with these kinds of capabilities, Yifuta did not feel at all that just defeating her could sign a contract. If we had a magic weapon that could trap Shirshio, then this would be far easier. Song Feng nodded. Han Bing at this time spoke expressionlessly. Is the most urgent matter right now not to go to the Azure Dragon territory? The treasure banquet is about to begin. Han Bing appeared to not be very concerned about her own double stars. Ling Feishuer alone was already satisfactory. Perhaps there would be a good magic weapon at the treasure banquet that can make Shirshio die without anything left. Shirjiao Ing sneered. Yifuta struck his palm. I actually know of such a treasure. Emperor Liang has an Along the River during Qingming painting that can trap people. Even a top-notch star general cannot escape it. Everyone turned inquisitive gazes to Grandfather Li. The White Tiger Seven Spirit Stars treated this old man as their only guide. Zijin, your opinion? Grandfather Li did not answer. He turned to smile and inquire the calm woman beside him. Zijin does not have an opinion. The woman calmly replied. Then good. We cannot miss the treasure banquet. Let Shirshio remain free and unfettered for now. There will be many places at the Azure Dragon territory where we will need to trouble you, Yifuta. Grandfather Li faintly said. This is something your servant ought to do. Yifuta smiled. Muslin fluttered, silk unraveled. Her beautiful figure was wonderful, an incomparable youth. Efficacious star divine physician Insuin looked like an absolute beauty at the moment. Her slender fingers gently moved to and fro, each and every movement full of tenderness. A faint light flickered. In front of Insuin were the child and mother-linked heart's needles arranged into a star array. She was unlike other medicine refinement masters. The tool that Insuin used to refine medicine were 5 of the needles, each representing one of the 5 elements. 5 multicolored rainbow lights drew the outline of a cauldron, with starfire rolling within. Efficacious star's star beast Good Fortune was nearby, its mouth spitting a green light. This light was like a canopy that wrapped around the child and mother-linked heart's needles. Not only could it substantially improve the probability of Insuin's medicine refinement success, the medicine she refined would be full of pure spiritual power. No other medicine master in Liangshan continent could compare to this. Minute beads of sweat slid down Insuin's forehead. The efficacious star closed her eyes in contemplation, and she continuously changed her hand seals. The starfire was increasingly intense. Insuin could sense that the liquid in the array was beginning to condense its quintessence. She did not dare lose focus at all. She continued to carefully control the temperature of the starfire. Furthermore, she constantly changed the 5 elements' positions of the child and mother-linked heart's needles, exploiting the mutual engenderment principle of the 5 elements to increase the success of her refinement one step further. These 1,000-year tears were extremely difficult to refine. In of itself, it did not have the 5 element, and this extra step added to the medicine refinement master's difficulty. Liangshan continent's medicine materials all had categories. 5 elements medicine refining theory was the basis for all medicine refinement masters. Thus, unless their talent was outstanding, generally only a few medicine refinement masters could successfully refine the 1,000-year tears. In the past, a majority of cultivators that obtained the 1,000-year tears did not directly ingest unrefined 1,000-year tears, nor did they randomly mix things. Although the efficacy was greatly eased, following the absorption of the 1,000-year tears into the body, star energy could rapidly advance. However, as far as the star duels were concerned, that sort of nurturing that required several dozen years was somewhat slow. A long while afterwards, Insuin opened her eyes. The girl was quite different from the feeble impression she normally gave. Her starry eyes were full of seriousness. The efficacious star appeared even more heroic and cold than Lin Yingmei. Her hand pointed, activating spiritual aura distribution. Gentle spiritual power wound around the 1,000-year tears. Finally, the starfire gradually extinguished. The child and mother-linked heart's needles were retracted. In front of Ansuwen's eyes hovered the 1,000-year tears, appeared very sparkling and translucent, full of light. Success. Ansuwen breathed a sigh of relief, and her brow loosened. She had wasted so many 1,000-year tears, but this time, she did not make Big Brother disappointed. Ansuwen urgently left the palace and was prepared to inform Su Xing of these good news. She searched for a while, yet she could not find Su Xing's figure. "Suwen, are you searching for Master?" Yan Yizhen was just sparring with Lin Yingmei and Hun Yangzi. She spotted Ansuwen's appearance that was looking for someone and thus asked her, "Elder sister Yi, have you seen Big Brother? Master and Seo have gone to Blackwater City. Is something the matter?" Ansuwen was confused. Apparently, Black Profound Divine Jade has appeared at Blackwater City. It is material Wu Seo needs to ascend to 5-star. Yan Wai isn't answered. Originally, she also wanted to accompany Su Xing, however, so many people following at his side was a bit too conspicuous. Furthermore, they were only going to see the Black Profound Divine Jade. There was no need to adopt a rich boy persona. Anyways, he had Wu Seo and Gong Sun Huang, so Su Xing would not encounter trouble. Of course, the sole trouble probably would be a past overlord. However, it was precisely because of this that he required protection. To make him stay at home, they were looking down too much on Su Xing. And Suwen nodded. "Little sister Suwen, could it be you finished refining the 1,000-year tears?" Zhang Yuqi walked over. "Suwen is powerless and finished refining just now." And Suwen apologetically said. The indifferent Yan Yizhen showed rare delight. "This is too good. This is just in time to rush to the treasure banquet. Young Su definitely will love Suwen to death." Zhang Yuqi dubiously winked, making Suwen lower her head very bashfully. Black Turtle Territory, Blackwater City. Su Xing and Wu Seo walked side by side along the bustling street. The surroundings were row upon row of magnificent buildings. Every sort of cultivator could be seen entering and exiting, haggling over their prices. The Su Xing who had been occupied with the star duels had not had a chance to pass by something so bustling in a very long time. Su Xing wore a green brocade, appearing like an elegant scholar. On his shoulders sat little Huang. The little girl's phoenix clothing was absolutely eye-catching, extraordinarily gorgeous, like a phoenix spreading its wings. Others looked at Su Xing with endless envy. However, what was most eye-catching was perhaps the Wu Seo that was alongside Su Xing. Wu Seo's attire already changed. Other than a magnificent cloak, the clothing underneath had a classical silk shirt with a high collar along with a short skirt. Under her short skirt was a pair of snow-white jade thighs. However, Wu Seo's hair that cascaded down to her but was more beautiful than a waterfall, and it matched that nearly detached beauty, still drawing the admiring gazes of many people. They walked into a booth. Su Xing looked up and down the trinkets with great interest. The Black Turtle Territory had very famous precious stones and many novelty toys that Su Xing had never seen before. Looking around for a long time, Su Xing suddenly recalled that it was the eve of the treasure banquet. He had not even finished considering what assets to use to barter. Wu Su and Gong Sun Huang evidently did not mind this at all. They still heedlessly walked about, and soon, they entered another shop. This places or amounts and types were clearly shocking. Every sort of oddly shaped ore was all present. Originally, Su Xing believed that Liangshan continent's ores were materials to upgrade star weapons and the like. He never imagined the Black Turtle territories would be even more abundant. This place surprisingly was not only extensive, its varieties were also complete. Other than star weapon upgrade materials, it also had magic weapon type ores. Wu Seo did not feel any interest towards those things. Gong Sun Huang's gaze at most stayed briefly on a few beautifully shaped ores. "Little Huang, if you like something, tell me," Su Xing said to her. Gong Sun Huang nodded in understanding. At this time, Wu Seo looked around. "Wifey, have you chosen something?" Su Xing moved over to her. Wu Seo shook her head. They continued to browse the store. Suddenly, Gong Sun Huang tugged on Su Xing. Su Xing thought that she had spotted something, but following little Huang's gaze, he noticed that Gong Sun Huang was pointing at a girl. 2. That was a tall young woman with long green hair. Her eyes were very clear, with a sort of personality that was as weak as a chrysanthemum. At this time, the girl was gazing at a stone with interest. She appeared to be somewhat fond of it. Su Xing was bewildered. He looked at Gong Sun Huang's cocked head. This was the first time that the little lowly showed such confusion. Lord husband, perhaps she is a star general. Wu Xiao lowered her voice. Su Xing nodded and walked over. This stone is very beautiful, do you like it too? Su Xing chatted her up at his leisure. The stone the girl was looking at was a thumb-sized piece of jade. The stone's texture appeared strange, with bamboo leaf markings densely packed. It was very beautiful. The girl lifted her head, following Su Xing's line of sight to that stone. She nodded, responding to Su Xing's words. This stone is known as bamboo clarity stone, also known as bamboo leaves. 3. The shopkeeper immediately introduced it. What's its use? Su Xing had never heard of this name. If star energy is imbued into the stone, this stone will become 100 bamboo leaves to kill the enemy. Of course, there is only one chance. The shopkeeper said. An unexpectedly natural talisman stone. This is actually rare. Su Xing said. The so-called talisman stone could be treated as stones with talisman functions. These talisman stones generally came from the hands of jade refinement masters. Naturally formed talisman stones were extremely rare in Liangshan. However, Su Xing felt this bamboo clear stone had no uses. Su Xing glanced at Wu Xiao and Gong Sun Huang. He asked the girl, "Do you want to buy this bamboo clear stone?" The girl shook her head. Her eyes had a bit of regret. "How much is this stone?" "I want it." Su Xing pondered and then asked. 15 million liang of gold. They do not come cheap. The shopkeeper said. 15 million? Su Xing wrinkled his brow, feeling the shopkeeper's truly was talking big. Although talisman stones were very rare, this stone nevertheless was unlikely to be worth such a high price. Su Xing directly threw out a high-grade talisman. "If you are willing, you can take this high-grade talisman for a trade." The shopkeeper's eyes glinted when he spotted this high-grade talisman. This was far better than the bamboo clear stone. He promptly nodded in flattery. "This fellow is as straightforward. Take it then." The girl's eyes anxiously looked on as the stone fell into Su Xing's hand. At this time, Su Xing nevertheless threw the stone to her. "I'll give it to you." The girl was taken aback. Zhu Qing looked at the bamboo clarity stone in her hand, her bright eyes turning about. "AI, only 700 or 800 years passed, everything's so expensive." An elegant man grumbled as he walked over. He was somewhat surprised to see the talisman stone in Zhu Qing's hand. "How did you get this stone?" "Someone gifted it." Zhu Qing said. "A man." The man was astonished. "It was him." Zhu Qing said. The man very quickly understood the him that Zhu Qing was referring to, but his brow furrowed ever more deeply. "Xingliang, can I keep it?" Zhu Qing seemed very fond of the bamboo clarity stone. She gently played with it in her palm, its clear light lingering, producing the green shadows of a bamboo forest in the surroundings. Yuan Xingliang mumbled to himself but asked, "Does he know your identity?" Zhu Qing shook her head. "Then will you still test him?" Yuan Xingliang asked further. Zhu Qing gently nodded. "Then keep it." Yuan Xingliang smiled and said, "This is your life cast stone, Qing. I have no reason to make you give it up." "Thank you," Zhu Qing softly said. The man in front of her was always empathetic towards her, and he sometimes even was very lenient. Yuan Xingliang stared at Zhu Qing. "However, our time is already running short. We have to settle things when the time comes." Zhu Qing was silent for a moment, still as absent-minded as she was originally. "Xingliang, do you feel we truly can achieve our wish?" This question, Yuan Xingliang was unable to answer. He could only play things down. "We are merely traces of true spirit. that we can manifest now is all thanks to him. Regardless of whether this wish is real or fake, we have no choice, right? We can choose. Zhu Qing's voice was soft, as if she had come from ancient times, faintly somewhat illusory. What choice? Let him ascend Maiden Mountain, complete the meaning of our star duels. Yuan Xingliang was taken aback. Zhu Qing, do you really think that man can end the star duels? Wrong. In fact, only by us killing him might there be a chance to actually end the star duels. Isn't this the purpose of the trial? Don't tell me Dragon in the Clouds Gongsun Zhu Qing has been confused by a stone that was gifted to her? Yuan Xingliang was gentle. He was not angry, only forgiving. Xingliang, what you say is very true. Jiangsun Zhu Qing murmured, unknown whether she was answering Yuan Xingliang's words about the purpose of the star duels or if she was agreeing with that phrase about confusion. However, regardless of it all, Second Overlord Leisure Star Dragon in the Clouds always appeared extraordinarily refined, so much so that it made Yuan Xingliang scratch his head. Hubby, why did you give it to her? As they walked on the road, Wu Xiao was still puzzled about Su Xing's talisman stone gift to that girl. Although the talisman stone did not count as anything, this man was but her lord husband. To unexpectedly give away a gift to a star general he had no relationship with, this made Wu Xiao a bit jealous. Since she's your sister, I'll just treat her as a little sister. In fact, Su Xing also could not understand why. This was the first time he had seen a star general at wit's end over a stone. Seeing her minor expectations, he could not help but gift it to her. However, back on topic, he seemed to have seen that girl somewhere before, making him feel very familiar with her. Her personality is a lot like yours, little Huang, a relatively very refined feeling. Su Xing broke into a smile. No wonder. It was perhaps because of this reason that she did not have something as mundane as money. Little Huang gently nodded. Wu Xiao pursed her lips. Su Xing wrapped an arm around her shoulder. Wifey, don't mind it. In a moment, I'll gift you black profound divine jade. Who is minding things? Wu Xiao disagreed. She shot Su Xing a glance. Have you noticed that the gazes of the people around us are suspicious? Su Xing had already noticed. With Wu Xiao's personality, they probably had been recognized, let alone that there was a white tiger following them around. However, Su Xing did not care very much about this. They could not overturn a stormy sea. They browsed through the market square. In the end, Su Xing's part came to a Blackwater auction house for a visit. Upon entering, a giant circular screen hung in front of them. This screen's color was pink and lovely, incomparably gentle. Upon it was drawn a beautiful Apsara painting. Although the woman in the portrait merely showed her back figure, it fluttered about constantly. It had a vague red glow, appearing exceptionally enchanting. They knew at first glance this was a pretty good artifact. Small semicircular gates flanked each of its sides. In front of the screen, there was a 30 or so years old female cultivator. She had a dull green palace dress, standing there gently laughing and chatting amicably with a male cultivator. It was odd. This woman appeared very ordinary, but each and every one of her movements was full of a mature, womanly grace. Her words and laughter emitted a touching charm. That male cultivator was only Galaxy early-stage cultivation, but he nevertheless was stared at by others, incessantly sneaking glances. When this woman saw Su Xing and the others enter, her eyes immediately glinted. After she gently clapped, a young woman promptly walked out from behind the screen. This male cultivator was reluctant to part, but he was guided back behind the screen. Su Xing knew at once that this female cultivator had cultivated charm arts. However, Su Xing's heart-like mirror had already been practiced to perfection. This charm art naturally was completely useless. Fellows, welcome. This little woman wonders how she can help you. This woman's voice was soft and gentle, making her sound extremely pleasant. Is this place holding an auction? Su Xing asked. To recount, other than the dragon auction from a very long time ago, he very rarely entered these kinds of auction houses. Exactly. Noticing Su Xing remained indifferent to her, the woman was secretly astonished. but after seeing Wu Xiyo and Gong Sun Huang, she vaguely understood the situation. She stopped the charm arts and replied with dignity. Is there black profound divine jade? Su Xing asked her. If there was not, they were prepared to leave. We do. The woman covered her apricot lips, her bright eyes rippling as she chuckled. Then can we participate? Su Xing smiled and asked. The woman laughed. Fellow is a supercluster middle stage cultivator, how can this little woman dare refuse? If Fellow needs to auction, then you can tell this little woman. Today, this auction has seen many supercluster stage cultivators. Su Xing pondered. It was the eve of the treasure banquet, and this was perfect to barter a bit of capital. The harvest he reaped facing the 10 great sects encirclement at the Bright Moon Longevity Palace was abundant. Other than some prehistoric spirit treasures, many things were already completely useless to the current Su Xing. Changing them for capital was good. Thinking, he nodded. Clap, clap. This woman clapped, and from behind the screen ran out another young woman. She handed Su Xing a jade strip. This jade stripe is bright pearl strip. Fellow can engrave the items he wishes to auction upon it. The bright pearl strip was a kind of unique jade strip that the Crystal Dragon Palace had refined. Imbuing it with divine intent would secretly form an imprint. It was something specially used for auctions. On one hand, it could guarantee one would not be extorted by the other party. On the other hand, it could preserve fairness between both parties. This once was an object the treasure banquet had put much splendor in. Afterwards, it spread over the entire Liangshan continent's auctions. Su Xing's hand pointed. The jade strip hovered gently in front of him. Then he imbued his divine intent, engraving the items he wanted to sell and the prices he mentally valued onto it. Because what the auction chose were things that would give the auction house a portion of the profits in the end, Su Xing was not afraid they would depress the prices. The bright pearl strip was returned to the female cultivator. Little woman is named Feng Ying. Feng Ying introduced herself. Su Xing. These are my 2 wives. Su Xing also introduced himself. Wu Xiyo and Gong Sun Huang merely glanced at her. When he introduced Wu Xiyo as his wife, the female cultivator could maintain her composure, but upon hearing that this obviously 8 or 9-year-old little girl was also unexpectedly a wife, Feng Ying stared dumbstruck. Could she be a child bride? Truly odd. But seeing Gong Sun Huang's expensive phoenix perch red cloud clothes, she knew from a glance this was an extraordinary treasure. Feng Ying did not dare slight her. When she took the jade strip to inspect its information, her complexion slightly changed. The things upon it were varied and numerous. Many of the items were of the type strong enough to make supercluster cultivators fight over them in a frenzy. This man honestly had assets. How could Feng Ying know that the things that Su Xing brought out were no more than the most inferior portion? There was still some that he was waiting until he went to the treasure banquet to use. After he finished preparing these, Su Xing entered the auction house. The instant he crossed the door, Su Xing sensed a slight alteration in spiritual power. He seemed to have entered into a sort of forbid dance, and his expression could not help but shift. But he then recovered his calm. Everyone's eyes were dazzled. There was a whole other world behind the screen. A 2-zhang-wide corridor separated the grounds behind into 2 large halls. The left side area was spacious and bright. Other than several tall black pillars, there was no cover at all. Furthermore, the inside was extremely bustling. At the end of the procession was a small room. The room had a white light shimmering above the door, whereas the right side area was thoroughly covered within a blue light. It was basically impossible to see the situation inside. This place is called the Virtuous Diagram Pavilion. It is specialized in the things cultivators collect from the Black Turtle Territory seas. You can exchange for gold, medicines, or other things. Or if you believe something is expensive, you can directly participate in the auction after appraisal. This city also has several other places engaged in a similar practice. They open their doors under different spheres of influence. However, our Virtuous Diagram Pavilion is the largest. The female cultivator proudly introduced. It was a pity that Shiyu was not here, otherwise, he probably could understand things more by relying on her. Su Xing nodded in silence, not caring about this. He only wanted to quickly obtain black profound divine jade. As for the scale, in Su Xing's perspective, participating in the treasure banquet, the Crystal Dragon Palace's legendary 10,000-li Crystal Palace was sufficient to make the virtuous diagram pavilion not worth a mention. Right? What power do you fall under? Su Xing asked. He knew that with this scale, the power backing them definitely was not small. The Devil Star Palace? This is the Nine Dragons Sea. The Devil Star Palace is unable to meddle, but this is Strange Abyss Island. The virtuous diagram pavilion belongs to the Nine Dragon Palace. Feng Ying calmly said, "Oh, that is good indeed." Su Xing nodded. Arriving at the auction, it was counterintuitively adorned simply and elegantly. Other than a few wood chairs, at the end of the hall was a several zhang long platform. Behind the platform was a beautiful woman. Her hand held a stone of flickering blue light. Her mouth was like a torrent as she spoke something. Across from him, several dozen cultivators of every rank sat or stood, from the lowest Stardust stage to Supercluster stage. Su Xing silently observed the auction items on the platform from the side. Feng Ying bade her farewell and came behind the platform. She changed from her previous calm and urgently spoke. "Senior Sister Ping, what is the matter?" A female cultivator was bewildered. "Quickly, report to the Queen, Wu Song and the Purple Thunder Monster have come." Feng Ying solemnly said. In truth, Su Xing did not know at all that ever since he had snatched Shiyu away from the illusion reality sect and scared off Holy Lord of Draconic Demon, the Purple Thunder Monster's heroic tales had spread throughout the Black Turtle territory. The Devil Star Palace, Nine Dragons Palace and the other great powers had already issued an alert against him. Every major auction and market square had his, Wu Song's and others' portraits. However, with Su Xing's current strength, this alert more or less was somewhat cautionary in meaning. Things outside the auction were in the middle of intensifying. Feng Ying anxiously waited. Not long after, the shifting star-moving moon array flashed. A woman walked out from the middle. This woman wore a dark blue flowery gown wrapped in black silk, revealing her gracefully contoured neck and visible collarbone. Her skirt pleats were like snowy moonlight flowing gently towards the ground. It dragged more than 3 chi, making her gait all the more graceful and beautiful. Her abundant black hair was bound using a headband, and a butterfly hairpin was stuck into it. A lock of black hair lay across her chest, and her makeup only added to her beauty. If one was to look only at her figure, then she definitely was extremely charming, making them very easily think the woman was a beauty that could lead to the downfall of a country, but upon seeing face, she made people startled. The woman was not at all so ugly. Rather, the woman wore a sinister, fanged mask that covered half her face. Its shape was unbearably ugly. At first glance, it was a grotesque beast, making one feel nauseous. Her exposed small cherry lips were adorned with black lipstick, which added even further to her sinister appearance. Feng Ying did not dare slight her. She respectfully stepped forward. Imperial Empress Yunshang. 2. After the star duels began, the Nine Dragons Palace had 2 Imperial Empresses. The one in the light was 9 tattooed dragons Shi Jingluan, and the one in the shadows was that second Imperial Empress before her named Yunshang who made people love and fear her. Yunshang normally was in charge of the 9 city-states outside Nine Dragon City. Her position was second only to Shi Jingluan. What has happened? There is no need to startle the queen. Yunshang indifferently spoke. Feng Ying summarized things. Wu Song, the Purple Thunder Monster? A slight ripple appeared in Yunshang's tone. She had long already heard the rumors about the Purple Thunder Monster. This man who defeated Great Saint Starkiller, who slayed Guan Ying and even left Shi Jingluan at a loss of what to do had most recently become prominent in the Black Turtle territory. Yunshang stood guard over 9 cities, yet she was curious about him, particularly this man who unexpectedly could seduce 2,000-year star generals who had never once signed a contract in nearly a millennium, majestic star Lin Chong and harm's star Wu Song. This truly was extremely outrageous. I have already dispatched people to retain the black profound divine jade as last to be auctioned. They ought to still be drinking tea. Feng Ying said. Yunxiang nodded, the meaning being that she expressed approval. Feng Ying saw that she did not speak, and then continued. I feel that they are definitely using the black profound divine jade to upgrade a star weapon. Imperial Empress Yunxiang, shall we still sell it to them? We need not play tricks in business affairs. Let him buy everything if he has the money. However, how many black profound divine jade do we have in this auction? Yunxiang asked. 25 pieces. Feng Ying honestly replied. 25 pieces. She should still be lacking in number to upgrade her star weapon, however, we should still limit him to 15 pieces. Yunxiang calmly said. As you command. Also, completely turn over all auction items from these 9 great cities to me. I hear the Purple Thunder Monster has many star generals. Perhaps there are some unfavorable to the Queen among them. Yunxiang continued to say. Yes. Before Yunxiang's commands were finished. Finally, immediately inform Devil Star Palace and the other great sects. Just tell them that the Purple Thunder Monster has appeared alone. Let them go kill each other in a life and death battle. I want to see just what virtue and capabilities he has to be able to have contracted with so many of my sisters. Subordinate immediately carries out your orders. Despite Yunxiang's malevolent personality, her thoughts nevertheless were very meticulous. Very quickly she had sorted things out. After Feng Ying left, Yunxiang passed through a curtain to look at the auction's arena. Her black eyes, for a time, were abyssal and indecipherable, her mood very unclear. Su Xing watched the auction taking place atop the platform. All of the items had been very ordinary. Perhaps to other cultivators, even supercluster cultivators, they were exceptional items, but to the Su Xing in the star duels, these magic weapons were not as outstanding as those that Tang Lianxin forged. Finally, the Black Profound Divine Jade at last was unveiled. The Black Profound Divine Jade was a strange treasure. In the Black Turtle territory, it was an excellent item to be used with practicing cultivation methods or refining tools, and Black Profound Divine Jade came from the endless depths. It was very difficult to find, and its appearance would attract the interest of all cultivators. What made Su Xing disappointed was that there were only 15 pieces of Black Profound Divine Jade. This was too few. Wu Xiao currently had 13 pieces, and her upgrade to 5-star required 48 pieces, meaning that these mere 28 pieces was still deficient by a large portion. However, this was far better than nothing. 15 pieces of Black Profound Divine Jade, each piece is being auctioned at a price of 30 million apiece. A female cultivator announced in a loud voice. 30 million each. This price made those cultivators somewhat timid. To a scattered cultivator, this price honestly was somewhat not too matching with common sense, far out of the ordinary. Su Xing was not worried. He slowly waited. 35 million liang. A tottering fat person said. 40 million. 55 million. The sounds of bidding were considerably weaker than before. Perhaps some had the support of a sect, but very few scattered cultivators could come up with the capital for a Black Profound Divine Jade priced at 50 million. 70 million. Just as the 55 million was already stopping, just when that cultivator thought that he could obtain it, a voice that rang like a morning bell resounded through the hall. Everyone turned their gazes and saw a man make his bid. Beside him were 2 gorgeous girls hugging him from the left and right. 70 million? This is too extravagant. The Black Profound Jade cannot be worth 70 million, can it? Everyone discussed spiritedly. The 70 million appeared like an astronomical figure, however, it did not count as much when exchanged with talismans, pills, or magic weapons. The bright pearl strip that Su Xing gave to Feng Ying contained enough to spare even if he was to barter for every piece of Black Profound Divine Jade at more than 100 million apiece. The feeling of someone sending their money to his doorstep felt so good. 3. Su Xing sighed. 70 million. Is there anyone else who will bid an even higher price? This is Black Profound Divine Jade, a strange stone of the endless depths. No one answered. Su Xing had already seen the bottom line price that each of them could afford. Therefore, the moment he spoke was enough to astonish everyone. It seems this black profound divine jade will be given to this fellow. The female cultivator smiled and said, 100 million. Just as she was about to close, suddenly at this moment, there was an abrupt change. A voice cold to the bones suddenly resounded. Everyone shuddered in alarm, as if they felt goosebumps upon hearing this voice. Su Xing and Wu Xiao were both taken aback. They turned their heads in astonishment. A woman draped in black silk and wearing dark blue splendid clothing walked in from the main doors. Each step she took seemed to imitate an Azura, as if they could see monsters cheering from behind the woman. She made everyone stifled, especially when the woman was wearing an extremely ugly monster mask that covered her face, making her seem even more malicious. This made people feel she was cultivating some devil cultivation method at first glance and needed the black profound divine jade. 100 million? This one's insane, to unexpectedly offer 100 million. Heavens! Everyone discussed in succession. Yunshang glanced at Su Xing. There was no emotion to be seen in her gaze. Su Xing did not expect Qing Yaojin to show up suddenly along the way. His first impression was that she was deliberately bidding the price higher. This was an auction's trick, Su Xing knew, but the woman in front of him seemed a bit unfathomable. 200 million? Su Xing said immediately. Everyone drew in a deep breath. Glancing at Su Xing's crafty eyes, no one expected that Su Xing would immediately double the bid. Could it be that he was deliberately inflating the price? Even Wu Xiao felt that Su Xing's bid was honestly overwhelming. Su Xing was expressionless. He calmly talked and joked with little Huang. Su Xing deliberately did so to fight a psychological battle, to make his opponent believe that he was raising the price. Under normal circumstances, if he was not so insistent, even a person deliberately increasing the price could not possibly dare make another bid. Yunshang's extremely cold expression showed slight astonishment from Su Xing's action. If it was not for knowing Su Xing's bottom line towards the black profound divine jade was that he had to obtain it, she perhaps would honestly have retreated. Yunshang's pupils shrunk. She ruthlessly spat out. 300 million. Everyone was shaken. These cultivators had never seen this level of bidding in an auction. Each and every single one of them stared dumbstruck at the two of them. The black profound divine jade also can be given to a star general to upgrade her star weapon. That elder sister over there is somewhat familiar. Yunshang pensively said. It seems this item must be obtained at all costs. These words seemed enlightening, waking everyone up. Only then did they return to their senses. If this was used for a star general's star weapon upgrade, 200 or 300 million was not bargaining. She is, someone whispered, a greedy light flashing across their eyes. Wu Xiao's eyes narrowed, concealing her cold blade. It seems you also want to use it to upgrade your star weapon? Su Xing smiled and said, since the lady has bid like this, it seems I really must obtain it without fail. Yunshang was expressionless, as if answering this was indeed the case. As expected, she had come to increase the price? To encounter a star general at this kind of auction was perhaps most detestable. Regarding materials required to be obtained, to give up on them was not too possible. However, to use 400 or 500 to buy one black profound divine jade, 15 pieces would then be close to 1 billion. As far as the Su Xing who was rich and overbearing was concerned, this still hurt very much. Su Xing sunk into contemplation. Some people showed sneers. They were secretly pleased that Su Xing was agonizing in front of his wives' faces. 300 million apiece. Is there any other fellow that wishes to bid? The female cultivator's voice trembled. However, this was not because of the high price or because of Yunshang. She knew the 9 Dragons Palace's imperial empress. To slap down their own was a gain that did not make up for the losses. Lord husband, let us leave. Since little sister is fond of it, leave it to her. Wuco calmly said. To make Su Xing waste 1 billion to buy the black profound divine jade, Wu Xiao did not like this. Feng Ying. Su Xing suddenly said. Fellow, what is the matter? Feng Ying hurried over. I want to tell you something. Please speak. Exchange the things in the bright pearl strip for these 15 black profound divine jade. If you are willing, then your servant shall make the trade. Of course, if you feel the price is too low, then these 15 pieces of black profound jade can be yielded to this lady. Su Xing remained calm amidst the chaos, slightly smiling. Feng Ying was stunned. She did not expect Su Xing to be so generous. The things in the bright pearl strip, no matter how it was put, neared $1 billion in value. Although this did not compare to the price of 300 million apiece, it was an absolute profit. Feng Ying did not dare make the decision, and she subconsciously glanced at Yunshang. Can you give his bright pearl strip items for me to look at? Yunshang said. Feng Ying deferentially handed it to her. Yunshang took the jade strip, scanned it with her divine intent and showed no expression as she threw it back. Everyone saw her indifference and thought that she was disdaining him. They were secretly pleased. How could they have anticipated Yunshang's reply? Truly, you hate to wrong elder sister. I shall acknowledge the beauty of that honesty. Yunshang indifferently said. Su Xing cursed under his breath. He knew he had been made a fool of by this woman. Judging from the deference just now when Feng Ying passed the jade strip, perhaps Feng Ying knew this woman, and her status possibly was not low. However, just as Yunshang said, Su Xing needed to obtain the black profound divine jade. He obviously knew he was being outbid and still got played. Fortunately, Su Xing did not favor any of the items on the bright pearl strip, so the exchange was not so painful. He actually glanced several more times at that woman. He could never forget that ugly mask even if he wanted to. Your servant is Su Xing. Lady truly has played a good trick this time and made your servant pay the price. Your servant wonders how to address you? If we meet in the future, your servant can give his regards. Su Xing asked with an insincere smile. Yunshang. The woman curled her lips as if she was smiling. Chills ran down the back of Feng Ying, who watched from the side. The Imperial Empress had never smiled before. This purple thunder monster honestly was as tricky as the rumors told, to unexpectedly be able to make Imperial Empress Yunshang show an expression of interest. Yunshang is a wisp of a dream, a flower tribute yet carefree. The good name. Su Xing nodded. After the black profound divine jade, Su Xing thought that things were more or less finished. However, the climax had only just begun then. To make these cultivators stay behind to the end, the black profound divine jade naturally was not enough to become the finale of the auction. Finally, the end. Since all fellows have gone through a complete exchange, then now we shall begin the final treasure of this auction session. It is also this trade fair's most precious treasure. Feng Ying took the stage. Calmly finishing these words, she suddenly clapped her hands twice. Then, divine light flashed at the entrance to the hall. 2 maids walked in. The 2 maids' dresses fluttered, wafting their fragrance, pervading the area. All of the cultivators present shifted because the 2 maids' hands held a jade tray. This jade tray was covered with a red cloth. With just a look, this clearly was an extraordinary item. Since everyone has lasted to this stage, naturally, you will know what is being auctioned this time. Your humble servant shall not waste any more words and will allow everyone to first witness the true face of this treasure. Feng Ying gently smiled. Her flattering style circulated and immediately shook. The red cloth was lifted, and crimson light suddenly rocketed into the sky. Then, a fist-sized ball of glaring yellow light slowly rose out of the box, but the moment it left the box, this yellow light seemed to swell and shrink indeterminately like Buddhist light. Furthermore, it let out a muffled hum. Seeing this scene, Feng Ying imposingly formed a hand seal. Several hand seals were struck together in succession, and then she pointed at the yellow light. She let out a low shout. The light ball flickered several times. After it suddenly whirled, the spiritual light abruptly stopped. Its original form appeared. It was a square-shaped thing. This item was smooth, glossy as jade, but the surface suddenly dimmed and then glowed. It faintly manifested layer upon layer of gold and silver talisman script. The strange thing was that every time this spirit light flashed, these talisman script arrays would be entirely different. Furthermore, under closer inspection, It made people feel extremely marvelous. Besides this, although the spirit chi emitted from the jade tray was gentle and steady, the spirit chi inside was extremely vast. Even though the object did not look powerful at all, the moment it appeared, it made all the cultivators wild. Su Xing felt that this object was somewhat familiar. He suddenly recalled, was this not the banquet invitation that Long Nu gave him back then for the treasure banquet? Surely, everyone must know of the treasure banquet that is on the eve of commencing. This event is one of Liangshan's absolutes. Any cultivator able to participate in the banquet needs only to enter to be able to have endless benefits, but the conditions to enter the banquet are extremely demanding. The Nine Dragons Palace has exhausted much effort in order to obtain this jade plate. It can allow everyone that participates in the treasure banquet to witness Liangshan continent's most wondrous treasures. As Feng Ying leisurely spoke, she also controlled the jade pendant that was in front of her. The suddenly enlarging and shrinking spirit light was fully charged. It made all the cultivators present in the hall unable to help but be restless. Besides, even if they did not have this explanation, just mentioning the words, "participate in the treasure banquet," was enough to stir everyone. To be able to participate in the treasure banquet was also a symbol of status. Let alone that this jade pendant was high class, they could even participate in an even higher class auction. Bids very quickly rang out. Su Xing recalled that she just happened to be lacking such a jade pendant. This was perfect to help her obtain one. Therefore he also called out bids. Su Xing glanced at Yunshang, discovering the woman had already disappeared at some point without a trace. He was not surprised at all. Su Xing in the end obtained this jade pendant, making those cultivators red-eyed incessantly. They perhaps even had thoughts of stealing it. Su Xing already experienced the envy of the Sikong sisters. He noticed that Wu Xiao had left at some unknown time, and he asked little Huang. She had something and asks your highness to wait. Gong Sun Huang said, something? Su Xing was taken aback. He immediately knew what Wu Xiao had gone to do. Blackwater City, an isolated alley. Yunshang was currently strolling about. She paced for a moment, stopped and suddenly turned around. Something appeared in her hand, and a sharp arrow was launched. A beautiful figure flashed out, crushing the arrow with a clang. Black profound divine jade, you do not need it at all. Wu Xiao sneered. To extort a lord husband, little sister, is very bold. As the rumors say, you address each other as husband and wife? Just what bewitchment has that man cast upon you, Wu Song? Yunshang was cold. Just what is your identity? Wu Xiao asked. Yunshang's hand covered her mask, yet her other hand manifested a great sword. Use your skill to find out. Exactly what your servant wants. Wu Xiao just happened to be somewhat infuriated that Yunshang would extort her lord husband. She launched an attack at once without saying another word. Before she finished speaking, a long and narrow cold light that was like a beautiful lightning flash flit by. Wu Xiao already launched her offensive. Noble frost demonic lotus blossomed with ice, snow and black lotuses. Yunshang's footsteps retreated. Her great sword also unsheathed at the same time, shooting towards Wu Xiao as swift as lightning, but this was no more than a feint. Wu Xiao easily blocked the great sword. Immediately, she used the tip of her sword to knock it aside, but the slightest air-splitting noise soundlessly rang. Several rays of black shadows attacked from Yunshang's left hand as swift as thunder, attacking Wu Xiao from a direction completely different from before. They really were not a pure attack. Those shadows seemed to be able to attack according to their master's will. Even if Wu Xiao used her superb footwork speed to block, the shadows that were knocked aside could still instantly counterattack like snakes twisting their heads. She was completely without any time to breathe. Furthermore, what was even more frightening was that the shadows would shoot out noiselessly from any random angle, as if they were terrifying assassins. Bang, bang, bang. A shrieking sound and metallic clanging continuously clashed. Yunshang's first attack displayed the strength only a gloomy strong person could have. The attack was not only incomparably fast, it also was impeccable in terms of defense. Wu Xiao cut down the shadows, which unexpectedly were short arrows. Arrows? Wu Xiao evidently expected that she was battling against a sister that used arrows. A sinister sneer came over. The paths of arrow and sword unexpectedly formed a terrifying net of lightning in a range of 3 zhang, but this nevertheless was unable to obstruct Wu Xiao's footwork. Harm's Star Pilgrim was like a falcon shuttling back and forth at lightning speed. Even if she was occasionally forced into an attack's dead end, her accurate and speedy judgment in evasion was enough to help her. In the mere blink of an eye, that black shadow arrived in front of Yunshang. Noble Frost Demonic Lotus once again was stopped by noiseless arrows fired in succession. Wu Xiao punched. A presence wrapped in ice cold suddenly slashed down, carrying a black light before the target's eyes, incomparably chilling, like the oppressive sound of thunder arriving. Yunshang's expression was serious. Her footsteps were like a monster's, light as wind, leaning sideways through this attack, but the double-ended Noble Frost Demonic Lotus nevertheless touched the ground and suddenly changed directions. By changing her direct charge into a horizontal sweep, this time, the attack's speed and power were already magnified. But Yunshang already was prepared. The arrows gathered into one and, combined with her own sword, successfully sealed the path Wu Xiao's sweep attacked. The tricky light left Wu Xiao with no choice but to withdraw. This was something her defenses could block. Yunshang seized her chance. Just like a shadowy vulture, she struck at this instant. Even if she had made mental preparations and used her weapon as a buffer, the chilling attack of the little sister in front of her could not be underestimated. Under the powerful charge, Wu Xiao's body was suddenly tossed several meters, but the instant she landed, the woman already recovered without a problem. A soft grunt. Countless whirling arrows like a viper's fangs stirred up the air turbidity. Practically in that instant Wu Xiao saw them, the whirling arrows seemed to pierce her body. Yellow rank technique. Rapid succession poison edge. 6. As long as I do not hurt elder sister, my attack can undergo countless changes. Yunshang's words carried an unclear arrogance or calm tone. Even if you are Wu Song, underestimating me will still lead to a very wretched death. Noble Frost Demonic Lotus spun, and her eyes became darker than the abyss at the same time. An earnest expression appeared on her face. The pressure that the little sister in front of her gave Wu Xiao unexpectedly was not bad. Wu Xiao gradually was somewhat boiling over. Are you serious now? I also want to experience how powerful this generation's Wu Song is. Yunshang ruthlessly said. Wu Xiao smiled and shouted. Noble Frost Demonic Lotus danced with a large black sword chi that sprinkled Yunshang, as if it was an unstoppable fain wind, enveloping her prey tightly within the saber light and shadow. Yellow rank sword technique. Yunshang broke off. At the same time, her fingers snapped. Countless shadows shot out from her fingers, transforming seemingly into vipers that pounced towards Wu Xiao. But, regardless of how crafty Yunshang's attack angle was, how frequently she varied her speed, her attacks seemed unable to hurt Wu Xiao in the slightest. That double-ended sword of pitch-black and snow-white light danced under Wu Xiao's control like an airtight rampart. She brushed aside each randomly appearing attack Yunshang wielded. Under a continuous volley of arrows, Yunshang finally noticed that she was still somewhat unable to shake the top-notch Martial General Wu Xiao in a frontal confrontation. The girl's eyes changed expression for the first time. But the battle had only just begun. Wu Xiao suddenly clenched double swords. A terrifying aggression flowed from her sword tip, full of a bloodlight. Yunshang sensed danger. Without hesitation, she flung the great sword at Wu Xiao. Then her wrist flipped and showed a black, monstrously formed crossbow. That ugly mask's appearance was ferocious. Dark technique. Blood-splashing Mandarin duck. Wu Xiao vanished. The great sword split apart. Twin sabers directly flashed for Yunshang's neck. Yunshang at this time did not hold back her attack. An arrow fired, forming numerous densely packed phantoms. Wu Xiao's sword slashed, but the second and third arrow followed immediately after. She fired continuously without pause, firmly suppressing Wu Xiao's blood-splashing Mandarin duck. The Harm Star had no choice but to terminate her attack. She took a step back. Wu Xiao's eyes narrows, and the corner of her lips curled. Prominent star ugly prince consort Xianzan, 7. I have been looking forward to meeting you. Although prominent star ugly prince consort Xianzan was not that sort of first-rate martial general, without even the fame of the earthly star's 4 heavenly kings, her continuous stream of arrows was executed to perfection. Among the star generals, this was her unique skill. Even hero star little Li Guanghua Rong's arrow arts were inferior. To bump into the ugly prince consort, regardless of whether one was a top-notch martial general like Lu Junyi or the weakest Bai Sheng, there was unanimous opinion about the succession of arrows. Underestimating the enemy would only bring certain death. Xian Yunshang's hands gripped a pitch-black short bow. She held 3 arrows that were like shadows of billowing black qi. 5 stars flowed around on it. This was ugly prince consort's famous destined star weapon, demon bow and monster arrow. 2. Wu Song, it is I who have waited long to meet you. Xian Yunshang's voice was gloomy, without any feeling. Can you tell me why you would sign a contract with a man? Does your servant need a reason to do anything? Wu Xiao twirled her sword, disdaining to reply. Immediately she sneered, your servant is actually curious, ugly prince consort Xianzan, you surprisingly will not sign a contract? You have committed a blunder. The 9th generation star duels can allow us sisters to meet again, to ascend Maiden Mountain together. Those contractors merely are burdens to us. Xian Yunshang's pace slowly shifted. The two circled one another, their gaits absent-minded, but each step concealed great murderous intent. What did you say? Wu Xiao's brows furrowed. If I was to say you can scale Maiden Mountain without the need for any star master, Wu Song, would you be willing to join us? Xian Yunshang continued. Is there such a possibility? Wu Xiao sneered at her. Do you accept? Xian Wenshang said, so long as you agree to join us, I will tell you the greatest secret of these star duels. Wu Xiao raised her eyebrows, unimpressed. This generation's uprising? You know. Xian Yunshang showed slight surprise. Wu Xiao naturally knew about the matter of the uprising. Although this was indeed somewhat strange, and she was also indeed curious as to what the uprising actually was, to make her part of the uprising was something she could not do. What does that have to do with your servant? Her cool and elegant figure vanished from where she was. That is a pity. Xian Yunshang coldly spat out 4 words. Her hand movements were extremely quick, and the 3 monster arrows promptly fired. The arrowheads spun out indistinct shadows, their constantly changing trajectories making them untrackable, completely as untraceable as its bow. Wu Xiao evaded 2 arrows consecutively, and the last arrow was also deflected by Noble Frost Demonic Lotus. Xian Yunshang somersaulted into midair. Whooshing shadows once again shot out. Not good. Xian Yunshang suddenly noticed that Wu Xiao had vanished without a trace. Where are you looking? Wu Xiao appeared behind her, slashing. Clang! Her protective armor cracked. Xian Yunshang raised her hand, and a steel saber appeared that swept out. As nimble as a dragonfly skimming the water's surface. Wu Xiao gently stepped on the steel saber, and her sword's power fell. Sword chi exploded on Xian Yunshang's body. The burst let ugly prince consort incessantly suffer. If ugly prince consort Xian Yunshang had a star master, she could at this time make the star master use flying swords to obstruct and create an opportunity for her demon archery, but for her alone to face Wu Xiao was not so easy. Xian Yunshang was forced to a sorry figure. She used her dark technique without any hesitation. East wind breaks. 3. The monster arrows let out ghastly shrieks, and a ring appeared in the air. Black light directly shot towards Wu Xiao's chest. At this moment, regardless of whatever dodge Wu Xiao used, she would be struck without fail. Wu Xiao clenched the sword before her chest. Clang clang. The arrow slammed into the sword, shaking it. A wave burst out from within the arrow. The ring previously in the air suddenly enlarged, moving towards Wu Xiao to trap her. An enormous thud. The 5-star monster arrow finally forced away Noble Frost demonic lotus. Wu Xiao's expression changed. The airflow exploded, rolling a tidal wave like qi boiled. Did it hit? Xian Yunshang stared, still somewhat not daring to believe. But following the air wave dissipating, her flowing green hair heavily settled, and Xian Yunshang's heart sank. Wu Xiao slowly turned her head back. Her hair was aflutter, and in her mouth, she had caught the monster arrow that had been fired at her. Incredible! As expected of a martial general that is top-notch in battle, to be able to surprisingly block my eastern wind breaks under that situation. Xian Yunshang let out an ice-cold, gloomy sigh. Wu Xiao spat out the arrow, her expression ice-cold. Xian Yunshang knew that she could not hold an advantage fighting any further. At this moment, she sensed that the purple thunder monster was approaching this place, and a thought flashed past her mind. I will not keep you company any longer. Xian Yunshang suddenly called. A pitch-black, cloud-treading, fanged, crimson-eyed, grotesque and sinister monster horse appeared from out of thin air. This horse was known as Ugly, Xian Yunshang's star beast. It was in accordance with her title as the Ugly Prince Consort. Xian Yunshang flipped onto the horse. Ugly whinnied and spat a dark, black fog at Wu Xiao. This black fog was not able to harm her in the slightest, but it nevertheless could blind her eyes. Xian Yunshang glanced toward Su Xing. She spurred her horse to charge at him. As she rode, she drew her bow, killing intent in her eyes. Since she could not kill Wu Song, then killing this purple thunder monster right now was also an absolutely good opportunity. However, before Xian Yunshang could fire her arrow, Gong Sun Huang already noticed her. The little girl's pine-brand ancient sword pointed and used wind rolls the clouds. A gale blew, gusting like blades. Little white. She heard Wu Xiao yell. A white shadow tore apart the black smoke and fiercely pounced. Xian Yunshang could only turn her head back and fire an arrow at it. She continued to spur Ugly into stepping on black clouds upwards. Black fog pervaded the sky and earth. Su Xing summoned his flying swords in defense. Such a miserable black fog made it difficult to chase. By the time Gong Sun Huang used her star magic to blow away the black fog, prominent star Ugly Prince Consort Xian Yunshang had already disappeared. That just now was? Su Xing asked. Prominent star Ugly Prince Consort Xian Zan. Wu Xiao answered. Ugly Prince Consort, never expected to run into her. Su Xing knew that in spite of Xian Zan's ranking as 40th, that rapid-fire archery received no small measure of respect. Wifey, are you unhurt? Su Xing looked her over. Wu Xiao glared at Su Xing, to make him stop randomly feeling her up. No issue, but it is a pity your servant could not take revenge for Lord Husband. This doesn't count as revenge at all. Su Xing smiled. Don't take it to heart, it's fine if you're all right. Your Highness. Gong Sun Huang suddenly looked in another direction. They stopped their conversation. With a glance, countless cultivators were currently flying in from every direction. Prominence star Ugly Prince Consort returned to the Virtuous Diagram Pavilion. She just happened to see large numbers of cultivators moving in the direction of Su Xing. Xian Yunshang did not have any faith in these cultivators against the Purple Thunder Monster, but to make him surrounded by enemies on all sides in the Black Turtle territory was not a bad thing. Second Imperial Empress, according to your instructions, the surrounding sect's cultivators have already gone to intercept the Purple Thunder Monster. As they wish. We will not interfere. Xian Yunshang was indifferent. As you order. Ugly whinnied several times, puffing out black smoke. Xian Yunshang looked at her star beast. Do you want a name too? Ugly bawled. Xian Yunshang wrinkled her brow. She suddenly recalled the Purple Thunder Monster's compliment. Yunshang is a wisp of a dream, a flower tribute yet carefree. She wondered where he composed this, but it was interesting. Then from now on, you are called Flower Tribute. Xian Yunshang calmly said. She turned her head back to issue Feng Ying orders. Go inform the queen, Wu Song has already been captivated by that man and has no sisterly sentiments. Pausing, Xian Yunshang shook her head. Forget it. I will go myself. It has been very long since I chatted with her. Purple Thunder Monster. All of the cultivators surrounded him from up in the sky down onto the ground without leaving any gaps. Everyone was angered. Among these cultivators were several supercluster ancestors, but Su Xing did not place them in his eyes. His 36 flying swords revolved about. Green light, golden rays, and white rainbows reflected each other, showing an ancient and formidable aggression. Evil-suppressing gem bamboo. The 10,000-year evil-suppressing gem bamboo. Everyone cried out in shock. One section of 10,000-year evil-suppressing gem bamboo was enough to profit them endlessly, let alone that this was an extravagant set of 12 flying swords. I have no interest in willfully slaughtering innocents, but if you wish to die, then I will not be polite. Su Xing coldly said. Although 100 cultivators was a lot, some greedy characters thought that with numbers, they could rely on others to take action yet still enjoy a share of the harvest. Su Xing saw through this kind of greedy mentality at a glance. Su Xing's palm ignited an instant frost flame. The surrounding air immediately turned cold. Everyone looked at each other in bewilderment. Their thinking was the same as Su Xing's. After they heard the news about the purple thunder monster, they rushed over in a mob. They knew that the purple thunder monster was classified by the Devil Palace as its #1 enemy in the Black Turtle Territory, the arch-nemesis of the Black Turtle Territory. As a result, when the call for action came down, Blackwater City's cultivators completely assembled together. However, after their fury passed, they found an embarrassing fact. Though their numbers were great, the Purple Thunder Monster's cultivation was supercluster middle stage. It would not be so easy to face him, let alone that the Purple Thunder Monster's side also had the absolutely terrifying top-notch Marshal General Wu Song at his side. No one dared to make the first move. Thereupon, several thousand flying swords soared about in the sky, their imposing manner grand, as if they were a sword array come to shake the heavens and earth, yet it was without any intense murderous intent. "Wifey, let's go." Su Xing smirked. The thousands of flying swords fluttered. All of the cultivators were indefinitely uncertain. Among them, a supercluster late-stage great cultivator furiously said, "Purple Thunder Monster, do not think you can leave." 100 flying swords became a sword array that activated. Su Xing pointed. Heaven tearing broke his sword array, and when the other cultivators saw this, they immediately were agitated. They wanted to use their flying swords when at this moment, the surrounding airflow was suddenly disturbed. A gale howled. A white cloud like a dragon, a northern wind like a blade. The several thousand flying swords wobbled in the gale. Let alone forming a sword array, even divine intent control had become difficult. Everyone's expressions changed. What is happening? This is star magic? The cultivators cried out involuntarily. The wind became increasingly berserk, and without any warning, the blue light suddenly sprinkled down onto the world. The world turned blue, and the entire Blackwater City seemingly vanished. The sea in Su Xing's eyes became a blue and green plain, rustling. A voice that broke out of the ground. A stalk of jadeite bamboo shot non-stop out of the ground towards the sky. In the blink of an eye, several thousand jadeite bamboo stalks had sprouted from the ground. Those cultivators' faces paled, and they wailed, their hearts having been run through by the bamboo. Blood rained down, becoming raindrops to the jadeite. 5. The scene was extremely bizarre. In a mere instant, 100 cultivators had been completely destroyed. When the supercluster late-stage ancestor saw this array, his expression was shocked, and he screamed, "Impossible, this is, etc. of heaven, borderless sword array." 6. The ancestor immediately used full power to avoid having his heart pierced. He fled towards the horizon, but this forest was endless. That ancestor was then also killed by the bamboo forest. Su Xing and Wu Xiao were both astonished. They subconsciously looked to Gong Sun Huang, believing this was Gong Sun Huang's star magic. The little girl shook her head and pointed above them. Above the sea of bamboo appeared a man and woman. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.